Kia ora, everybody. Whoops, I forgot to move my mic. Kia ora, everybody. It is I, the Moon. And we are here for Pride Month, the gayest of times. Welcome, everybody. Can you all hear me? If anyone's here yet. Yes, it says there's a few people here. But yes, it is Pride Month, and I need to do something for it. You know, since I am a member of the LGBTQ plus community, as a demi-romantic asexual woman, I need... Oh god. What's this? A live moon? Yes, the moon lives once again, kind of. Yes, but... So for those who don't know what this wheel is, essentially, back in 2023, when the colour wheel trend was happening, for those who don't know what that is, it was essentially people would draw a wheel with the rainbow colours, and each section would be a character people's choosing that matched that colour. And I wanted to do that trend back then, but I couldn't find the right time to do it, or excuse to do it. And then Pride Month rolled around, and I realised I could sort of combine them by having each of the colours represent a different flag. So and I've been doing this for each year, where I basically put a character to represent these different pride flags. Most of the time it's headcanons, the occasional character that's canon to it. So this was last year's, so it's like red is the general pride flag, so like rainbow. This is basically like my free bingo card space. I can just put anyone in here without really needing to specify. Orange is the lesbian flag. Yellow is the pan flag. Green is the aromantic flag. Teal is the like male gay flag. Blue is the bisexual flag. Purple is the ace flag. And pink is the trans flag. And yeah, again, like most of these, the characters I end up picking are like, for, yeah, like headcanons and such. I can actually go through what I've done. So for the first year, back in 2023, god, this was ages ago, I had Chloe from Ladybug, Sunny Star Scout, I almost forgot her name, from G5 of MLP, Pan for Zach from Secret Saturdays, Cesar from Junior Rex, Globby from Big Hero 6, Gwen from, you know, Ben 10, I'm sure you all know who that is, Hero also from Big Hero 6, and Danny from Danny Phantom. That was the first year. 2024. Be warned, there is a like kind of there is a sort of naked-ish person. They're still covered, but like it's just a warning that like very, very almost naked lady, which is ironically the asexual flag. But you got Stolas from Hello Boss, a confirmed one. Velma from specifically Mystery Incorporated, who was confirmed. Rapunzel as Pan, not confirmed, that's headcanon. Iris from Pokemon. White Knight from Generator Rex, who was confirmed. Marceline from Adventure Time. She is confirmed, but she hasn't been given a specific flag. I just put her down as bi because that seemed the most obvious. The Dryad from Terraria. And Cadence from My Little Pony. And then last year's was Yusuke from Persona 5. Zadra from Free Below. She was meant to be, apparently, within the LGBT community in the show, but they couldn't get it in. You got Husk from Hell of a Boss, which, like, Hazbin Hotel, which, you know, like, everyone there has a flag. Lucy from Ben 10. Francis from The Secret Saturdays, Varian from Tangled the series. He's not confirmed in canon, but the storyboard artist that tried to do that one spin-off wanted to make it canon. Twilight from the MLP, and the hairstylist from Terraria. Almost forgot. And now we've got this year, which is Todoroki from My Hero Academia, which is all headcanon. The way I see Todoroki is that I see him as not straight, but he doesn't really have a specific label. He likes what he likes is the vibe I get from him. Garnet, because you know she is two lesbians in a trench coat. I had to. And then the Celestia from My Little Pony, just headcanon, I just kind of view her as pansexual, you know, this lady's been around for ages. Krell from Free Below, he always kind of gave me, like, aromantic vibes, because, like, in a show that, like, was full of just teenagers that had crushes, attractions, that kind of thing, he was the only one who really just kind of didn't have any of those vibes, and, like, I kind of just vibed with the idea that he's aromantic. Wasabi from Big Hero 6, I am just so convinced this man is gay. If you have seen the TV series, you'll know what I'm talking about. This man, like, they had so many scenes of him, like, very clearly, like, complimenting men and kind of being attracted to them. In fact, there's, like, this one scene that just cemented it for me where the gang see this K-pop group, and, what is it? Yeah, the gang see this K-pop group, and the K-pop group do that thing where they, like, blow a kiss into the crowd, and the animation has it that it's, like, a physical heart flowing into the crowd, and Go-Go, like, dodges her heart, but Wasabi grabs his one and, like, starts cuddling it. I'm like, this man's hella gay. Cassandra from Tangled the series, because she's a complete, you know, disaster, mostly because the writing was real weird. Octavia from Hell of a Boss, which she is confirmed. And Cooper from Ben 10, who I headcanon as trans. Crystal, I hope you're doing, I'm currently doing my best to stay hydrated in this tropical weather. Hope Chad is doing well. Yeah, I've heard that the Northern Hemisphere is currently dying to heat. I can't say much. I'm Southern Hemisphere and it is really cold. We just had snow on the mountains, so it's freezing. Even though it's not finished yet, loving the way you've drawn Garnets. Yeah, I was not sure how to, like, draw her hair initially, because it really is just kind of, like, inhuman, like, sort of very cube. But I had fun with it. I've been having fun actually learning to draw more, like, thick, curly hairstyles and all that. It's basically evaporating here at night and time as hell. Oh, snow, take me back. I miss snow. The heat was me. Yeah, so it's currently winter here. Or autumn, one of the two. But it's very cold, very wet. Oh, you're on your watch streak. Your 5th stream streak. Snowman, I wish I had snow power here, yeah. I'm not complaining too much, because I much prefer the cold, but there is some flood happening. It's currently thundering, a flash just went. Yeah, we had thunder not too long ago. It was, like, ridiculous. Like, I kept seeing flashes of lightning under, like, my, curtains. It was freaking the dog out. I felt so bad. But overall, how has everyone been doing with their Pride Month? I say as both, like, a, you know, for the LGB folk in watching, and also, like, you know, a lot of stuff happened this month. Cough cough 5YL finally coming to an end. I'm sleeping downstairs on the couch tonight because it feels like an oven in my room upstairs. Oh. Hopefully it does not last much longer for y'all. We treated the rain too harshly over here. We're being punished. rain gods have cursed you. So if anyone ever like has any questions about specific headcanons on this, or curious about like the canonicity of some of these, feel free to ask. We've all got headcanons out here. The Sunday, also the Weatherman has said. The Weatherman. You just gave it every water Pokemon type for them. I think that would just cause, like, you know, a Noah's Ark flood. I'd be fine with that. Yes, unfortunately we're dealing with floods and landslides over here. Nature can just never settle. For the group of characters, or do you just spin a wheel? I basically just kind of like go for it piece by piece, like trying to figure out like each year I just sort of like think about it, go through different fandoms and think about who I would like to put on the wheel. And some parts of the wheel are admittedly harder than others. Like finding like someone to put in the trans section I find kind of difficult to do, in the sense of like I don't have a lot of media that includes like a like in terms of what I watch or engage with that have very prominent trans characters, which is very sad. And like a lot of the time I don't do a lot of headcanoning when it comes to a character's gender. Then it comes to like a sexuality, because like a lot of the time I take it like very straightforward-y. Whereas like I always feel like there's more leniency in headcanoning sexuality. This is like my opinion, like I don't give a crap if people have their own different headcanon methods, but I just find it easier to headcanon sexuality because there's a lot more ambiguity most of the time, which is like cough cough, they never really outright say that this character is straight sort of thing. But I have a few here. Like, as I've seen, I've got, like, Koopy here. I've got, yeah, quite a few, like, ace headcanons because I'm starved for representation. I've been trying to make sense of 5 Whale Final Week now because being nonchalant, responsive, dying, and being resurrected gave me eternal dissonance. To be fair, this is the same man that got killed by Charmcaster's machine, and he came back, and the first thing he said was, dying sure works up a thirst, let's go get some smoothies. Like, say what you will, that is just canon Ben. Really, I'm thankfully never had experience with either of them. Hope you're staying safe. Yeah, I'm relatively safe. My town's not too bad with, like, floods and stuff, but, like, it does happen. Landslides are a bit more common where I am, but I thankfully don't live in the specific areas that get hit with it the worst, but still gotta be careful. I haven't watched the 5 Whale Final. I always get sad and things like that, so I'm holding off from a bit now. Oh. You might want to be careful because there might be spoilers in this chat. It was music to my ears hearing Richard Horvitz, Grey Matter. Yeah, that was fun. Ben really looks deaf in the eye and says bet every time. It's gonna be interesting. I mean, this is the same man who, like, jumped into, like, the void of the universe to stop a bomb, essentially. Like, this man does not care. He's like, if I die, I die, but I haven't died yet, so might as well. I think I'll leave to avoid spoilers. Have fun, everyone. Yep. But yeah, no, it's such an accomplishment that we've all finally reached here. Thank you for the stretch, Canon. Oh, got a little of a creak in my neck that I can't get rid of. But yes, we finally made it. We reached the end. All that work and still missing a piece of decoration to make your basement look more alive. Like, I find ways to entertain myself down here, as you can tell. Trans character during the franchises. Who's Joanne again? Hang on. Ah, okay. Yep. To be fair, like, a lot of the characters I also draw are, like, you know, cartoon characters. I know next year I've got a few ideas of who I'm gonna pick out, like, I absolutely want to pick out Calder from Young Justice, because I've been rewatching a lot of DC stuff, including the first 2 seasons of Young Justice, and I was like, oh right, yeah, he came out in season 3, I should get on that. And, like, I like Calder. Yeah, I've rewatched Young Justice season 1 and 2. Couldn't do 3 because 3 and 4 because, like, the service I was watching on Neon didn't have them for some reason. And now I've started rewatching the DC animated movie universe, which has been a wild ride. Like, I watched those movies, like the start of those movies, back in high school, and, like, there are some things that, like, I have misremembered so badly, and it's been an experience rewatching it because it's not great. There's a lot of weird things that happen in those movies, but it is kind of real funny. Like, yeah, because the first of the franchise for some reason is the Flashpoint movie, which is really weird, especially since, like, it doesn't feel like it's part of it. Especially with the fact that it's got a completely different art style. And, like, the way that movie's animated, it legit feels like I'm watching, like, them capture, it legit feels like watching them capture the sensation of, like, bad comic book art in motion. Like, everyone looks weird in it constantly. And I just finished Batman vs. Robin, which always kind of made me sad because this is the Court of Owl movie, and it, like, kind of sucks. Oh, they did my boy Nightwing so bad in these movies. But they're also entertaining. Like, it's a dumb fun kind of thing. I also forgot Wonder Woman and Superman are trying to do a romance thing in this, and like I don't give a shit. It's not really interesting. Even if, like, you know, realistically I think it makes sense, but Young Justice, old show, but still holds up very good. I still really like Young Justice, but I still stand by the fact that I think season 1 is like it's the best of the seasons. I really do not like what they did with the time skip. And I really hate how the franchise kind of like boiled down into that sort of like, we have to put in so many characters. So much so that we have no time for anyone. So I remember I liked the start of season 3 because we actually focused on a group finally, and then they kind of like halfway through just kind of gave up and was like, throw in everyone we have. I started watching Batman pieces today because I wanted to get around to finally watching all the DCAU especially. Yeah, I need to watch, like, the actual original Batman animated series and Justice League series. Like, I didn't grow up on those, but I've seen so many, clips from it, especially the Justice League animated series. Like, that's why I'm a Wonder Bat shipper. That series made me really like them. Oh yeah, Diane and Clark romance. It was weird since that was the thing. I was like, when they started hinting into it, I was just like, oh, okay, like, I guess Lois isn't a thing. And then she shows up, and I'm like, wait. So I'm a bit sad myself. I love it. The relationship always made me face bumps, just knowing this is to be just like, ugh. Not gonna lie, this I knew this wasn't where it was heading, but my brain was just like, wouldn't it be so funny? In the Aquaman movie, the whole thing is that that's when Lois meets, like, Diane, like, not Wonder Woman, Diane, and, there's this whole thing where they try to play off that sort of, like, both girls are kind of being territorial over Clark, which is just, but there's a scene later on when, Lois and Jimmy are caught up in the fight with the Atlanteans. And there's a bit where, like, Wonder Woman saves them, and Lois looks back and, like, thanks her or something. But, like, there was this brief second of Lois watching her where I was like, wouldn't it be so funny if she got a crush on Wonder Woman and not Superman? I was like, that would have been the most funniest twist of all time. And then I was just picturing a version of these movies where, like, like they both dump Superman and start dating, and I was like, that would have been ironically peak. Marina 7 does have a funny scene where Batman says he had a shot in Superboy and says, I say take it. Oh, I remember that one. Your boy Richard has done dirty, my boy Jason. I know. Though I've been hearing about some of the stuff happening in the comics, like, I know currently Nightwing's run, I've been seeing people say that it's been really good, but it's also really wacky because it's like, currently in the comics it's something like Nightwing, there's like a ghost that's trying to ruin his life and frames him for vehicular manslaughter or something, so he's dealing with that. And it was the funniest thing because I saw, before I knew about this, I saw the comic strip that came out about how, Starfire's officially getting her own, like, solo series. And it was like, they put out this whole comic strip about it, including, like, a whole scene between her and, Nightwing, when Nightwing came to her. And she was just like, she initially called him out because she was just like, you're not happy, are you? Things are not doing well in your life. And he was like, yeah, things are kind of shitty right now. And then she was just like, I'm gonna be leaving. I feel stagnant, lost here. Like, I love Earth and all that, but I kind of need to, you know, go and do stuff myself now. And I was like, oh, this is really cool. Like, you know, she's getting to finally be something outside of the Titans and a love interest. And, like, Nightwing did kind of go like, oh, can you actually, Corey, I need you, you know? And then I was like, oh, that's sweet, you know, she gets to do her own thing finally. And then I found out what happened with Nightwing, and I initially thought that what Corey was calling him out for was, like, sort of like, just some general depression or something. No, he's literally like a ghost or something has framed him for like vehicular manslaughter, I think, and like he's going through like a complete horror show of like zombies, aliens, body horror. And like it just kind of makes like I'm still happy for Corey, but it does kind of like make that scene kind of a little mean to Nightwing. Where it's like, I love you, Corey, and yeah, you should do stuff what makes you happy, but also like, damn, I'm dealing with Ghost here and I kind of need some help. Whereas right now, I think it's Batman's currently, I don't know if this is like an alternate universe, or people are saying that it's like a, he needs a priest. Well, right now he's arresting a priest. I saw that comic strip. I'm currently with Batman. I could be wrong here, but I think he's currently like hallucinating hallucinating or dreaming a future where everything's happy. And he's got, like, his family and stuff, because, like, there's a whole thing where it's, like, you get to see Damian has a son called Alfred. Jason Todd and Rose have a kid. A daughter. She doesn't have a name yet, from what I can tell. And, like, people have been happy over that, especially since they've been thirsting over some of the Bat Boys seeing their older selves. That's been happening, but yeah, no. Oh yeah, no, but like Nightwing in the DC animated movies, like, God, he gets wafted and it pisses me off. My precious son got his PMS new outfit, got shipped with Huntress, why? No, he's the new Den Mother. Yeah, I saw the Teen Titans one, which is a real funny mental image of him becoming the Den Mother to the Teen Titans, because that's just going to end so chaotically, and I'm here for it. Yeah, new female butler. So Alfred's dead in the comics. He's been dead for a while. They've been sticking to that. So the whole thing, from what I heard, is that they're going to be bringing in a new character of Butler. I don't think her official name's come out yet, but from what we've heard, it sounds like she was like Alfred's contingency plan if he ever dies. And I've been seeing, like, people have been positive about it. They're like, you know, well, we'll accept this change sort of thing. Like, we miss Alfred, but we'll give this a go. The one thing everyone has been pleading for is that she does not become, like, a love interest to anyone in the Bat family. Especially because people think she might be Alfred's niece. You're finding the Batman stuff more interesting than Darkseid Mortal Kombat, like, 38. But yeah, the DC animated movies, like, going through them, it's like, yeah, Flashpoint was just weird. It's a really weird way to start off these movies, because, like, it doesn't feel like it's the same world. I initially thought it was gonna be, like, something like, it was sort of supposed to, like, indicate that we're rebooting this world, in a sense, to start from the beginning. But that's not what it is. It was me, Barry. Yeah, Reverse Flash is funny. He's like the most pettiest man alive. But the animation, like the art style of that movie is genuinely scary. It's weird. I don't like it. But it did have some really funny screenshots. Like, my favorite image that I got from that movie, that there's like a scene where the Flashpoint Batman threw a grenade at Black Manta. And I need to see if I can find it, actually. What is it? I have the image somewhere. Yeah, the Pixie skin in the beginning. I remember that. She was just like, Mum, I have something to tell you. She's like, I know you're gay, Barry. And he's like, no, I'm the Flash. It's very funny because he has a wife back home. Oh, I need to find this one image. Where is it? I sent it to someone. I found it. Here it is. This one frame of Black Manta gets me every time. The most perfect way to die. Oh, I love this frame. And then the they'll fight the Madagascar. So then it's really the first proper movie I'd say is the Justice League movie, which is very funny that they just start with the Justice League movie instead of just some origin movies first off, especially since they kind of needed it with the way that they kind of portray some of these characters. The Justice League movie was alright. Like, there was nothing really special about it. I remember calling, like, there's that bit where, Hal uses the ring to scan the mother boxes or whatever, the Darkseid's, tech, and, like, it comes back with being like, oh, whatever the group that runs the Green Lantern Corp, it was like, oh, they have no data on this. I'm like, bullshit. They know what this is. Like, they know who Darkseid is. I was like, this is not true. I felt bad for Cyborg. I quite liked, Cyborg and, Billy Batson's, friendship. I think they had a very nice story together. The Green Lantern and Batman friendship is real funny. I don't like Superman so far in these movies, because he's not really Superman, he's just kind of a dick. That doesn't have much of a personality outside of that. Wonder Woman's hard because, like, sometimes she's really funny and then sometimes they really beat you over the head with the whole, oh, she doesn't get, you know, normal customs, huh? And I'm like, But overall it was, like, kinda eh. And also it is wild that, like, their first primary villain that they go up against is Darkseid, but I know the Darkseid Apocalypse movie happens, so I'm presuming it's gonna be like a build-up to that. Then it's Son of Batman. I like Damian in these movies in the sense of, like, I think the voice actor they got, that kid does a really good job. And I think they captured, like, Damian's initial vibes really well. My problem is that I am in agreement that, like, Damian kinda has some Mary Sue qualities to him. With the way that they're just like, oh, he's, you know, he can do anything. But overall the movie was kinda, and it's, like, the fact Raish just dies is so anticlimactic. And, like, I remember, like, back when I watched this movie, I was like, yeah, this is pretty good, and then it's like, I rewatch it, and I'm like, they don't actually do a good job explaining why Damian is suddenly like, you know what, killing's bad, because it's like, him and Batman went on, like, 2 missions, and nothing happened to make him really think about it. And also Slade, you know, dies and, like, gets himself killed in the most obvious way possible. And then, yeah, Nightwing gets completely dwarfed and, like, shafted for that movie, and I'm like, come on. The Then it's the Justice League Aquaman movie, which I really don't think the Justice League needed to be in that movie, because it, like, I actually kind of liked the story we were following with Arthur Aqualad. I thought it was actually really interesting, and I liked his character, and I liked Mera and stuff, but, like, because the Justice League were there, it ate up so much time, so it was like a lot of his origin story kind of, like, got pushed to the side. Then it's Batman vs. Robin. Yeah, which was far worse than I remember. Like, it's so criminally, funnily bad. Like, I was telling people about this, but, like, I remember the scene where the Court of Owls, like, is trying to catch, what was it? Court of Owls was trying to... Oh, the Court of Owls were trying to kidnap Bruce Wayne. They didn't know he was Batman yet. They were trying to kidnap Bruce Wayne so that they could invite him to join the Court of Owls. And you want to know what their, you know, style of kidnapping is? You know, trying to get someone... Trying to, like, recruit something? They get four cars, each with 2 members of the court wearing their masks blatantly, and take it out onto the highway Bruce Wayne is on, a very public, busy highway, and they basically try to openly ram him off the street. And they do, they crash his car. And then they get out of the car and, like, blatantly drug him and throw him in the back seat and drive off. And I'm like, what? I was like, one, this is not subtle in the slightest. Everyone who has a phone has recorded that. And then second, you're trying to recruit this man, not kill him. Bro, that's pretty bad. No, I need you to be discreet. No way that Bruce would get caught off guard like that. One of the richest people in his car doesn't have some kind of security mission. It's just business. It's near that they got to Kevin to voice Thomas Wayne in the Flashback Court of Owls movie. Yeah, that's cool. Damn ninja training thing. He dies in the worst way possible. I think the majority issue was the New 50 stuff animation happened to the characters hit or miss. Cough Damian Wayne can be annoying as hell, cough me. I really hate how they treated Nightwing later on in this movie, so boy, yeah. It was like every movie they had to, like, what, like in Court of Owls, Batman vs. Robin, it's like there's that whole training session, where, like, Damian, like, whoops his ass in the end, and I'm like, I feel like it would be more impactful to have him, like, lose a bit more often. Instead of making him look all so cool. I think Batman not trust Robin and think he's a dog. That one was so funny to me because it was like, I remembered the whole, like, the Court of Owls, like, the Talon framing Damian to make Batman think he killed that one guy. But in my memories, I remembered that as, like, the Court of Owls guy stabbed the guy in the back, and that's why Batman was suspicious, because Damian has a habit of, like, cutting people and stabbing them with his sword. But no, the Court of Owls member rips out this dude's heart from the back, and Batman looks at that and goes, yeah, my 10-year-old son did that. I'm like, Bruce! How? There is no way in hell Damian could have done that. And, like, I also just hate the fact that the Court of Owls is, like, treated so stupidly, and that, like, that one Talon managed to overthrow this whole system. It really kind of impacts it. And I'm like, I do vibe with the one Talon, but I don't think he works as a Talon. I remember actually saying this while watching it. He kind of reminded me of Jason a little bit. With the way that, like, he talked to Damian about killing people, and also, like, how, like, he had a bit of a jokester personality. So, yeah, like, I like the character in terms of, like, the Talon guy. I think he's kind of interesting, but I don't think he works as a Talon. And, like, it does disappoint me that, like, the whole Flying Grayson connection to the Talons just wasn't implemented. And also there was like that weird like whole thing where like Bruce, you know, was hallucinating in the Court of Owl's Maze and stuff, and he like the whole point of that is it's supposed to be a turning point of like he's like, oh, I do love my son and I've been treating her, except he always comes across as he's still kind of drugged a bit in the way that he talks. Like there's the whole ending where Damien's like, I need to leave, and like Bruce is all like, yeah, that's fine. And I'm like, Bruce, he's 10, like, I get he's not, like, a normal, everyday child, but, like, he's still a 10-year-old. You can't just let him go off on his own, especially when he's emotionally distressed. And then, like, even, like, Nightwing calls him out on this. He's just like, he's 10 years old, and he's like, no, he just looks like one. And I'm like, Bruce, he is 10. How they make Nightwing Batman soon make him a fool, that's annoying. That's the thing, is I know Bad Blood's the next one I have to watch, but I remember really hating it because, the whole Dick Grayson as Batman and Damian being his Robin was such a big thing in the comics, and, like, I really loved their relationship, like, their brotherly relationship, and how he, you know, Grayson's the one who, like, helps Damian, feel more like a kid and all that, but like the Bad Blood movie just did not give a shit. Like, I want their brotherly dynamic, I love it so much. Yeah, 10-year-old can do Mortal Kombat versus yeah, in the apocalypse when he doesn't, like, when Damian get brought back to the Lazarus Pit, yeah, Damian, brings him back, which I did kind of like the whole thing where he was like, he's my brother, I had to, but, like, it doesn't feel earned, because, like, they don't do enough with the whole, like, oh, they see each other as brothers and such. But I mean, the Darkseid movie was supposed to be, like, very, very gritty. Yeah, they put Damian on such hype, like, he got trained by the League, and because that's the thing, is I don't mind Damian being very skilled for his age, but an aspect of him is the fact that he's supposed to, like, when he joins Batman and all that, and, like, you know, meets Nightwing and stuff, an aspect is supposed to be teaching him that he's still mortal, he's still young, and he still has a lot to catch up with the real world. Like, it's like, he can- I'm not saying he can't do cool feats ever, but an aspect of him is that you have to humble him, from a story standpoint. The Court having one town and the rest were zombies felt kind of strange, unless that's how it works in the comic. No, in the comics, they're all individuals. The whole thing is they're all kind of zombie in the sense of they've been around for so long, then they use like it's like a type of metal or something that keep them alive. All the Talons that you see have a personality, have, like, a story. Like, the most infamous one is William Cobb, who's Dick Grayson's great-great-grandfather or something like that. But there are other ones. Like, I'm pretty sure there was a Talon who freed herself from the clutches of the Court and now, like, became, like, an apprentice to Catwoman. I don't know if she's still around or not, but that was a storyline. I always feel like they get a previous character voiced parents. You know, like Joss Keaton to voice Rich Parker. Yeah, that's always fun. The Bruce never had Jason Tim Cass. His parenting skills are in the trash. Yeah, I mean, all he had was, like, Nightwing, and clearly those two have, like, some kind of beef with each other. The Batman vs. Robin movie was so funny from, like, Nightwing's perspective. Like, outside of him getting completely trashed in the final fight, and, like, left to bleed out, like, no one comments on that. I just love how he's, like, watching Damian and, like, Damian and, like, Bruce fight, and he just cannot give any less of a shit. He's like, I want to go home, I want to go see Corey. Like, I sent this to my friend, I was like, this is what it feels like from Nightwing's perspective while watching this movie. Two idiots fighting the worst fight I've ever seen. That doesn't work because Bruce is still alive, you can't adapt the storyline. I mean, I understand that, like, for the movie alone, that they weren't gonna, like, kill off Batman, because keep in mind, this is, like, the 6th movie in an entire franchise for some reason. They weren't gonna keep him, like, kill him permanently, but, like, I think having him missing, like, you can still do the whole, as long as Bruce isn't here, do the, like, Nightwing and, like, you know, Damian's story together. I don't mind that change. It's the fact that they just did not do anything interesting with it and just kind of had Damian still be the same. There was no development between the brothers. I do remember liking Batwoman, but I like Batwoman in general. She's cool. Though if I recall, Bad Blood was weird in that they didn't make her Bruce's cousin. I think they, like, just had her, like, be an old friend or something. Oh yeah, oh really, huh? I guess with it being a movie they were shot on time and that was to do. The reason why Batman and Robin, yeah, Dick and Damian work so well, because they balance each other out, Batman being evil. That's the thing, is like, there's supposed to be a sort of twist on the Robin and Batman thing, where it's like, Batman's the more, like, emotionally available, fun-loving one, where Robin's the edgelord. So yeah, Bad Blood's next. I also remember... I forget his name, but he's Lucius Fox's son, the guy who becomes Batwing. I remember he was in that movie, but, like, compared to Batwoman, he kind of wasn't really needed. Another case of just too many characters at once. And then I remember it ends with Barbara showing up. Yeah, like, the movies are weird in, like, when they, like, introduce certain things. Because it's like, yeah, Batman's already been in his career for a while, but apparently he hasn't talked to the Justice League for like 10 years. Yeah, she was just another rich kid. She's like around Dick's age and isn't related to Bruce. That's right, because they had that weird thing where Dick had like a crush on her or something, and I'm like, is that why they didn't make her related to Bruce? Do you see the Justice League God and Monsters movie? It takes place in another universe with the main trio being slightly different. I've heard of it. I can't remember what one that is, though. Trying to think of other DC animated movies I saw that weren't part of this franchise. I saw the Supergirl one, which in hindsight was really weird. They very much sexualized her a lot in that movie. I hated what the movie did to Talia. Yeah. Kind of just made her insane and a nut job. Yeah, I've seen the Teen Titan movie, the Trip to Tokyo. I need to rewatch Teen Titans. Neon only had, like, it was funny, Neon has everything Teen Titans except for the original Teen Titans. Like, they had Trouble in Tokyo and, like, Teen Titans Go and the crossover, but, like, they didn't have Teen Titans. So I'm gonna have to figure that one out. And eventually I'll rewatch Season 3 of Young Justice and eventually get myself to watch Season 4. Which, like, I've heard so many mixed responses about Season 4 in that, like, they kind of did a whole, like, return to the original crew, but not really. And, like, what they did with that wasn't as good as it could have been. Yeah, Supergirl doesn't really done right, like the CW version is just Lady Superman. But yeah, like, rewatching Young Justice was like, oh, it's like I so miss the original crew, the original season, and it's like there are so many, like, problems I have with Season 1 solely because they ended like, that whole thing, and then did a time jump. It's like, Season 1, it's like, I hate that it's just kind of more of a McGann, Artemis, and Connor show. And the only reason that's bad in my eyes is because we didn't get, like, a second season to explore the other characters. Like, if this had been, like, a Season 2 where it wasn't a time skip and we got, like, you know, it became, like, the Robin, Calder, Wally show and then, like, Zatanna and Rocket, that would have been fine. But because we only had the Season 1 with the old crew, it ended up meaning the others didn't get as much. Times X have to, for me, we deserve to see this year. And that's the thing, is it's like I know there were elements to, like, what they did with the crew, during that time skip that people weren't fond of. Like, I know there's a lot of people who weren't into the whole, like, Nightwing acting like Batman suddenly, McGann doing the whole abusing her powers thing. And the thing is that I genuinely think that those are actually really interesting story ideas. Like, you know, like Nightwing acting like Batman for some reason. You know, McGann abusing her powers. Wally and Artemis leaving, but like Artemis clearly still wanting to be a hero. I think those are very interesting storylines. It's just the fact that we don't see how these happened, and we don't really get a good, proper conclusion for some of them. And that you kind of have to fill in the gaps. Like, we had that video game, but like, making me do homework to understand the plot is never a good thing. And also, like, the video game didn't answer everything. Like, with McGann, her whole abusing her power things, I don't know if Season 4 actually did explain it, or anything like that, or if there's some, like, comic source material that explained it. But my headcanon was that the reason why she started abusing her powers had something to do with, Beast Boy's mum's death. Like, maybe it was a case, like, I always took it as maybe it was a case of, like, there was a, like, maybe McGann was, interrogating, a villain related to, like, Queen Bee or something. But she didn't push her powers enough to get answers, and because of that, Beast Boy's mum dies. And I was like, that couldn't be a perfect reason as to why she starts abusing her powers, because this kid that she's had to take in lost his mum because she felt like she wasn't fast enough, she wasn't risking enough. And then because of the way Martians work with the whole, like, how their society perceives, you know, telekinetic stuff, it's like, you add on to that. There is a Young Justice comic, ironically. Never read those, not sure if they're canon. Do you mean in the actual, are you talking about, like, comics in terms of, like, tie-in comics to the show? Or do you mean, like, in the actual DC comic universe? Because Young Justice came from a comic series. Though it's very, very different. Because that team was, like, it was Connor, but, like, comic Connor and Young Justice Connor are, like, very different. It was Tim Drake Robin, Cassie Wonder Girl, and a few others. Because I remember that was the thing, was Young Justice fans, like, the comic fans, weren't a fan of Young Justice because of the fact that it was more like Teen Titans, if anything. And I think even the director was just like, yeah, this was more like, I was kind of more just borrowing the name. After Batman had to go on trial, really seemed to take it upon himself. So, well, the thing is he was already doing that stuff beforehand, because, like, he was clearly working with Calder. And, like, that plan with Artemis to get her in, like, that felt like that's been a plan for a while, even before the Batman trial stuff. But, like, Batman being gone probably did, like, push that whole feeling of, like, I need to do this, I need to lie, this and that. And I forgot this, but, like, when I was rewatching Season 2 of Young Justice, like, I forgot that Nightwing kind of just sits on his ass 90% of the time. Like, for some reason, he's the man in the chair. I don't get that. And also, like, I was completely bamboozled. I forgot that, Red Arrow, Roy, or, like, Clone Roy, whatever his new name is, I forget. It's, like, Will, I think. I forgot that, like, after he actually finds the original Speedy, he disappears from the story completely. Which is a shame, because I didn't really like Arsenal. Especially since Roy was starting to, like, or, like, Red Arrow was starting to, like, actually get his life back on track. Like, he was talking to Oliver again, that kind of thing. And I was like, oh yeah, finally. And then he just disappears. I vividly remember Young Justice Team looking like how they look in the show, guessing. Yeah, so the show had some tie-in comics. There were some like short adventures. There were ones that explored some of the origins of the characters. There was one. So this one annoys me. So when I watched Young Justice, I was a big Shallant shipper. For those who don't know, that was the relationship of Zatanna and Dick Grayson Robin from the first season. I was really big into it, and I still am. It's still my favorite Nightwing ship. And when the time skip happened, and they were like, oh, they just dated for like a week or something and broke up, I was so upset. I was like, no! Especially since, like, something I vibed with Young Justice initially was that I liked that they were taking these characters and trying new things with them, because that's always the fun part. Like, there's definitely times where I think some changes are completely unnecessary, but, like, I always like seeing continuity's takes on, like, characters and dynamics and stuff and playing around with these ideas. So I was like, I actually quite liked a lot of the initial pairings. Or at least I was keen to see where they'd go. So I was so happy when seeing Zatanna and Robin kiss at the end. I was just like, hell yeah. And then the time skip happened and I was like, what? And then I found out that the show was trying to aim for Barbara and Dick. And here's the thing about me. I've never really cared about that relationship in any show, really. I don't hate it. I see why it's popular, and I'm not wanting, like, Zatanna to replace, like, the ship in, like, the comics. I'm not asking for that. But, like, when I heard that's the route they were going, I was, like, kind of just disappointed, because I was like, it feels like this is only here because it's what's popular currently. But I was like, I was willing to give it a chance. Except they actually do nothing with it. Because, like, they don't really talk in season 1, outside of, like, one comment where, like, Barbara tries to make Nightwing look sexist when he's not. Yeah, they don't really talk much. And then season 3 happened, and they're suddenly dating, and she's in a wheelchair, and I'm like, you can't have all the progress off screen. How am I supposed to, like, get invested? How am I supposed to care about this? And yeah, that, like, sucked. And then it turned out that there was a tie-in comic to talk about their relationship, where it was like, it was about, like, Dick Grayson's birthday back when he was Robin, and then back when he was Nightwing. Where it was like, the initial opening was Robin walking into the Mount Justice, and Zatanna gives him a kiss on the cheek. And she's like, happy birthday! And then walks off, and he gets all, you know, blushy about it, and then he's just like, wait, I didn't tell her about my birthday, and Wally runs in being like, you're welcome, man, I told her. And then it cuts to him when he's turning 19, so it's set right before the season 2, and it's Zatanna and Rocket walk in. And Zatanna kisses Nightwing out of nowhere. Everyone looks shocked, except for Barbara, who has, like, a weirdly flirty smile on. And, Nightwing gets her to say happy birthday to him backwards. And then Rocket also kisses him on the cheek, because apparently those two dated briefly for some reason. And then it's, like, the rest of like, the comic is, like, him, like, either sleeping with women, or, like, looking back on, like, when he played, 7 Minutes in Heaven with him and Barbara when they were kids. And then it ends with Barbara meeting him back at home, and the implication is supposed to be that she's willing to date him, but only until he gives up this whole, like, sort of player nonsense. And, like, all of that was in, like, this tie-in comic, and I was just like, I can't get invested if you're, like, making me do homework, guys. Showing previous animated show, it's annoying. It's weird because that pisses me off. Yeah, they didn't give any explanation of why it didn't work out. It's weird because you only met her once in season 1 and didn't get her backstory in season 2. Yeah. Barbara and Dick already had their time to shine in a previous animated show. To be fair, with the animated series, that's when they did the whole weird, Batman and Batgirl thing, so I can understand why fans would want something else. But in general, it's like, Barbara and, like, Dick, I've always preferred their friendship over a relationship. But, like, I'm also not against them dating. Like, I'm not gonna tell people, like, you're dumb for shipping them. Does Young Justice connect with the new 52 animated universe because the art styles are very similar? No, so it's more that they have the same, it's the same company art team making it. Which season 1 and 2 had similarities, but was clearly a bit different, and then when they brought back season 3, it was very clear that we're using a lot of the, animated movie art style. They even replaced a few characters with their movie counterpart designs. Like, I think that happened to Wonder Woman. Yeah, hearing you dated Rocket was unexpected. Yeah, I was a Grace and Starfire ship, but that's my second favourite ship for him. It's Corey, I love him so much, yeah. But it's like, just the Shallant ship has hit me in a way that I've never recovered from. Season 4 NBC was always about to series doesn't happen. Woman movie and Batman Beyond hinting that I had a relationship with yeah. You know, I understand Barbara's feelings for her boss, but that's the thing, is Barbara having a crush on Bruce, like, yeah, that I can absolutely see that happening, but it's the fact that Bruce reciprocates that's the questionable part. Like, Bruce, you've known her since she was a kid, and also, like, you have a power dynamic here. Like, I remember Ken and we were talking about this, and we were like, the only time the Barbara-Bruce thing kinda worked was the Lego movie, but that's because they made it explicit that they were the same age. There was no mentorship student thing going on. Dick was a kid and had nothing to do with Barbara. And, like, Barbara was still got to be her own character. Like, that was the only time it ever felt like it worked. Dude, being friends with Jim, like, fall asleep in the chair, we'll be watching the VOD tomorrow. Good. Sleep well, Raven. Also, if you hate the writers making this shit happen again, why are we adding the Killing Joke movie? You know what's funny? I think everyone, when the season 3 happened and showed Barbara in a wheelchair, assumed it was the bloody, Killing Joke that happened, except it's not. Young Justice changed it. And, like, what they did with it was just so shitty. It was, like, forced drama. But it's like, yeah, I would have given Barbara and Nightwing a chance in Young Justice if they actually showed me progression. It was Young Justice for go to have worst Joker ever. Bruce and his friends and her dad, Jim Shoot. Because as it is, it's like, I don't get anything from Barbara and, like, Dick. Because, like, it's cute. I'll give it that. Like, it's a very adorable ship. But, like, it just gives me nothing. Like, how do you mess up making the Joker? Forced drama with Orphan, it was kind of dumb. Well, that's the thing, is, like, for those who don't know, in Young Justice, it wasn't the Joker who paralyzed Barbara. It was Cassandra Cain. Accommodating her to work. They should have had at least one episode every season showing the time skip. But then we waste valuable time on the characters that we want to talk about. It was like how when Season 3 came out, and like they had like Black Lightning of all characters be like one of the main characters, despite the fact that he wasn't a sidekick or like a child hero sort of thing. And then it turned out that they were like making a movie for him or something, and I'm like, ah, okay, so that's the reason. And two of the worst Teen Time reviewed file was the two that would be the DC Superhero Girls Generation 2 adaptation. Those designs are bad. Oh, the second generation? Are you talking about the one that has the very, like, this art style? Are you talking about this one? No, I don't think this is bad. I've actually quite liked this show. I've seen, some episodes from it. Like, I'm gonna be honest, this initial design... This is the first generation, I presume. This is very cardboard cutout. Like, it's just the same lady copy and pasted. I like this one just because it's like, it's got a lot of, there's a lot of good shape and color work in these, and like, everyone has a very clearly distinct personality. Whereas this one, they all look like the same person. Barbara and Dick is very, hey, Jimmy, give me a cheese with nothing shoved in. I think for me, it might be because, my first real exposure to these two, like, I always kind of knew about them, but my first real exposure to them was the 2004 Batman series. And, like, they got to just really act like little kids in that. And in a sort of, like, they were just kind of, like, friends. And, like, I vibed with their dynamic a lot in that, like, I much prefer their friendship from that than I have ever seen any, like, romantic elements from them. And I think it's just the kind of thing where it's reached a point where it's like, I think Barbara deserves to have a relationship outside of, like, Nightwing. Like, I remember looking into it. I was looking to see if there were any other relationships she's ever been in that, like, fans liked. And I found a couple. Like, I remember I found one with a guy named, Jason Bard that sounded quite interesting. Oh, hang on. That's my brother. Yeah, that Batman show. That Batman show's fun, because I like how they kind of, keep a lot of things similar, but they're not afraid to do their own takes on it. Like, I like the Joker from that one, because, like, he genuinely feels like this, like, believable, insane man that can put up a fight against Batman with his whole, like, his method of fighting and, like, acrobatics. I think the curse code, you gotta keep the status quo. That's the thing, is it's like... It's that one thing where it's like, I get the whole, like, making things similar to the comics to a degree, so that, like, when people come in, they're not confused, or, like, they've got a certain expectation for the comics. But, like, a thing with the adaptations is that I feel like you're meant to kind of have fun with it. And, like, don't get me wrong, again, there's definite times where I'm like, a change was completely unnecessary or stupid. Like, I really don't like what they did with Cassandra in the Birds of Prey Harley Quinn movie, because she's not Cassandra in any shape or form. But then there's, like, times where it's like, I think a change really works, or, like, I'm interested to see what they do with this character in this new story. And there's, like, even times where I think a change is better than what's going on in the comics. Yeah, he does voice the Joker in that one. I know as well, Robin was actually supposed to appear earlier in that series. Like, I think he was supposed to appear in, like, 2 seasons earlier or something. But they couldn't. Because at the time, I think Teen Titans was still going. And the Robin that they designed looked very similar to the Teen Titans Robin. So they had to wait to use him. Which I know, that happened in Young Justice as well. The, what was her name? Donna Troy, the first Wonder Girl. She was actually apparently meant to appear in the original crew of Young Justice. She was meant to be part of the original team, but Donna's, like, licensing is, like, really weird, which is why we don't really see her too often. So she got replaced. I don't know who replaced her though. Like, thinking about the main crew, I wonder who who took her place is an interesting thought. Because, like, I think it's easy to say Rocket in terms of, like, that's why Rocket was so, like, kind of last minutely, like, added. But I think because, like, I don't think it would be her, because Rocket felt like just something that came in much later. So it's, like, it feels like it's between, Artemis and Miss Martian, I feel like. And it's hard to know who Donna was meant to be, unless it was, like, a case of, like, they were all 3 of them were meant to be there from the start. I mean, they actually put the Teen Titans. Oh, so you're talking about the Teen Titans. Okay, I see what you mean. You sent me the picture. Oh, yeah, no, the Teen Titans in that, like, it's just, I think it's kind of funny, but, like, I don't really care enough, with what they did there. Yeah, I'm not really a fan of what they did with Robin there, but, like, overall, I don't care enough. And especially since the main, target of that series is supposed to be, like, the main girl superheroes. I think Donna Troy also appeared late in the original Teen Titans show. Maybe. I can't remember. I'm a fan of the idea of those shows being in the same universe. Yeah, people like the 2004 Batman. People like to think that that is the same universe as Teen Titans. She's stiff with Cass's name tag on her, yeah. My boss, woman penguin from the music show was genius. Mr. Freeze is on the cold. I think not Troy. Okay. I think it might have been Artemis, might be, because it would make sense to want to do a character matchup. Yeah, like, I think Artemis probably matches the idea of, like, the strong-headed female character of the crew, which is what Donna probably would have been. And also, like, Artemis is, like, because, like, isn't Artemis's whole deal was that she's technically from the comics, but, like, she wasn't really anything in the comics, and then the Young Justice crew took her and made her own thing. Because that would explain, like, why they probably ended up making her if they couldn't get Donna. Robin's personality is one annoying kid that gets on your nerves because apparently he doesn't even talk in the show. He just mumbles and grumbles. To be fair, the joke with him, like, I've seen the joke of, like, when he's Bruce Wayne, he's a complete, like, complete just rich boy. I think that's just kind of funny. Whereas I believe Calder was originally made for Young Justice. Like, there already was an Aqua Boy, but Calder himself, I think he was made for Young Justice. Which I do like Calder. I know in Young Justice, like, thinking back on the tie-in comics, the only other one I ever saw was about, like, Robin's backstory in this. Because in this universe, they still killed his parents off, but in this universe they actually added onto it by giving him an aunt, uncle, and cousin who also died in the performance. Except his uncle survived, except he was in a coma, and if he ever woke up, he'd be, like, paralyzed and such, so there was, like, there was no way he could take care of him even if he woke up, which is why Bruce stepped in. Outside of that, I know there's a clip of Artemis, this is in the comics, in the tie-in comic, there's a clip of Artemis, getting arrested or something. I don't know if this is like an undercover thing, but she runs into Icicle Jr. and it turns out they're old friends or something, like they knew each other because of their, you know, villainous dads. I've seen a comic version of Calder. I don't remember when it came out though, but it was good. Yeah, they brought him into the comics, but he looks different a bit, and also he goes by a different name. I wish no DC cartoon show used unknown heroes. Like, I'm so hyped to see Mr. Miracle base here. But, like, I'm not against getting, like, a new sort of Teen Titans Young Justice sidekick show. And, like, even if it had some of the same characters, like, I don't care if there's, like, another Robin or a Kid Flash sort of thing, but it's like, I'd like to see another one solely so that it's like, I want them to just focus on this one group of kids. I don't need them to, like, pull out every, thing that they have copyright over. Because that's why, like, Teen Titans worked to me, because it was like, you got the impression that there was a bigger world out there, like, there were other heroes, other villains, like, Batman was running around doing his own thing, but you didn't need to see them. And, like, the core group had its, like, focus. And I mean, like, Starfire definitely deserves to have her own season as well. I'm so happy they announced getting an animated version of Absolute Batman run by the original creator of the comics, but the only problem is the whole show is going to be CG. It would be a deal breaker. I mean, I think it depends. I've definitely seen, like, CGI show, like, animation that, like, makes it look like it's 2D animated in a sense, or, like, has a very stylized depiction. I don't think it, I think I'm gonna wait until to see what it actually looks like before making a judgment, because not all CGI is bad. Unless you're talking, like, live action CGI, in which, yeah, I can understand the fear there. I'm very interested to see the Nightfall adaptation that they're going to be doing, because it was real funny. Me and my brother had been talking about it the day before. We were like, oh, we're surprised that we've never seen, like, a full proper adaptation of that. It's mostly just the whole Bane breaking Batman's back thing that gets used everywhere. And then very much the next day, trailer came out and we were like, well, will you look at that? We had Batman Project CGI. Comic Calder Jackson Hyde was introduced in the comics while he was in the 10, so assuming he was made for the show, and during production they put him in the comics ahead of it. Ah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. I remember Calder even made an appearance in the Flashpoint movie, which was cool. Apparently Young Justice never did get cancelled by a call press. I think it never got picked up, so maybe they'd bring it back, but hard to say. Well, like, season 4 didn't get cancelled. Because, like, I know it was initially cancelled, and I think that was for toy reasonings. Like, the toys weren't selling well or something. Whereas Teen Titans kinda had a similar thing. Like, Teen Titans, they've never come out explaining why it got cancelled. But people think it was a combination of toys and something to do with the female audience, and that, like the female audience ended up getting bigger than they expected or something, and they didn't know how to handle it. Something like that. I don't know, marketing's weird. Storyline is pretty huge. I can't imagine doing the story in just 1 or 2. Isn't it a 3-part movie? I tried to forget Starfire graphic novel. Yes, Nightfall is 3-part, yeah. Yeah, it's a huge, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they cut certain elements, especially things that maybe didn't age well. But it is going to be exciting to see. Starfire graphic novel. Oh, is that the one that's, like, called I'm Not Starfire? I've never read it, but I've seen things about it. That's the one, yeah. Like, I saw, when it came out, I saw a lot of, like, videos about it. I'm excited to see the new showing of Tim and Nightfall. Hopefully it won't be nothing bigger like Young Justice or doing Jason. Yeah, that's the thing, is Tim gets dirty. They, like, you know, Nightwing gets wafted a lot, but, like, goddamn does Tim get nothing half the time. I was talking about why it took forever to get it made, because I don't know if the company will be down to make season. I think Young Justice was cancelled for a bit. But then, like, popularity from the fans and such, eventually brought it back. Which is like, yeah, season 3 of Young Justice, it was like, I initially liked the start of it because we were following a group finally, and like, and then they kind of like collapsed halfway through and started throwing in every subplot ever, and also doing the, yeah, again, the whole like, oh, there was development off screen, guys. Like, what was it? It was... Oh, Kelda coming out. That was a whole thing that happened off screen, which annoyed me. Because I remember watching that whole episode with him and the white-haired lady, the girl with the light powers and stuff, where I was like, oh, it's a nice Kelda episode, and then they ended it with him kissing a dude, and I'm like, cool! When did this happen? And then, like, they acted like his boyfriend has been there the whole time. It's like, again, I absolutely would love to see him in a gay relationship. I need to know who this person is. It's always sad to be Tim Drake fan. He doesn't get enough love, it doesn't get... Yep. I did a quick search and Google says one would never officially cancelled, but it's America if they brought it back. Seems like they focused on new project. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's probably one of those things where it was cancelled, but, like, they didn't want to come out and say it. Or just use, like, very specific wording. I'm not confident about my favourite. Nice to meet you, Bruce and Jason. Sorry, that's not Tim and Batman. They meet Robin. That's Jason. I'm proceeding. Poor old Tim Tam. What was other stuff that happened in season 3? Oh, season 3 of Young Justice was like, God, the entire character that was Halo was such a questionable writing decision. I didn't hate them, but like, everything they were trying to do with them was very, like, very clumsily handled. Like, the whole thing of changing, like... Because, like, the whole concept of changing a character, like, their ethnicity and, like, background and stuff, it's like, it can be very hit or miss depending what you're trying to do. And Halo was a really bad, miss. Because, like, they were trying to do the whole, like, oh, they're Muslim, but also not... but also yes, and whatever. And then, like, they did the whole, like, oh, they're also non-binary, but we're not really going to talk about it much. And now, like, I saw in season, what was it, season 4, they're like, oh, they're also in a relationship with a girl now. And I'm like, really just hitting them with every brownie point. And it's like, yeah, it's like, I'm not against any of this happening. It's just, it was very questionably handled. Yeah. Because, like, yeah, it's good to have a diverse cast, but, like, if you make these changes and just kind of expect people to be like, yeah, we did the bare minimum, it's not gonna go over well. In the Amazon Batman show, there's a whole episode where all 6 Robins are the same room before they become... I mean, it is wild to me that we never got, like, a full-on, like, proper, like, Bat family animated series. Like, I'm talking, like, the whole family. At least, like, majority of them. Like, I know that, like, if you go on the wiki, they're like, oh, there's, like, 50 characters in the Bat family. But, like, it is wild to me. It's like we didn't get one with, like, all the Robins, all the Batgirls, Batwoman. It is wild to me that we didn't get, like, a full animated show. The closest thing we got with the Bat Family Project is that one comic. Yeah, the Webtoon comic, yeah. Because there's been some projects that have come close. Like, what was it? There was that one Batman Ninja movie where it had all the Robins. And I remember laughing a lot at, like, some of the choice and designs. Look, I'm a Jason fanboy. That hasn't been easy for my son, but at least when he's not included, there's nothing to screw up. These Tim fans have it rough. Yeah, it's like, really, it's like, Nightwing fans have the issue of, like, DC for some reason is so afraid to use him. They either, like, warped him to the side or butcher his character. Or have, like, someone like Bruce completely dick him over for no reason. Jason fans have to worry about whether or not the person's gonna write him as either, like, the only sane person in the room or a complete nut job. Tim has the issue of, like, everyone is, like, the quote-unquote least favorite Robin, essentially. Which is, like, not how I see him, but that is definitely how DC sometimes sees him. And they end up, like, giving his stuff to some of the other Robins, or just never bringing him up, or having him act like Jason. And Damian has the issue of, like, Mary Sue, who never changes energy. No, Robin, former Robin, Gun Robin, and Ninja Robin. Because you don't know if Abo is animated here. Larry does the 100-foot squads like you know he is in the Amazon Prime when question is, but he is more like Robin Hood when he's willing to, yeah. I mean, that's the thing with all of us is we us Robin boys are suffering out here, and then don't get it even started on Batgirl fans. Like, I'm sure they have been also suffering out here as well. like, I remember, like, another thing with, like, Nightwing was, like, he appears in the Under the Red Hood movie, which I really do like the Under the Red Hood movie. But, like, he was just another case of they were like, he's here, and now he's not. It was like, what was the point in, like, having him be there? Just to have my hopes and dreams be, like, ruined? Though I am excited because they also announced they're making the movie about Dick Grayson and Jason Todd. Which it sounds like it's going to be very interesting. And I'm praying it does not get flushed down the toilet, and I'm praying it's actually good. Like, all the time. That's why all Robins are orphan kids in the Amazon show. That's why Batman fans are called the Robins. Under the Red Hood. He's played by Neil Patrick. Yeah. If you like a certain character, your fate is to be pure misery and sadness for the years to come. Yep. This is why we have fan fiction. Finding that it had some puppet it was gonna have some puppet animation. People don't understand there's gonna be a mix of different types of animation, yeah. I feel like DC character that fits better the most is substitute from Batman Brave and the Bold. I mean, this kind of, in all my streams, we all know the kind of rants I've been on about shows and characters I like and how they get messed up. It's a never-ending pile of suffering for me. Fanfics I mean, it's like I've like got like rewrites of everything I've like ever seen at this point. Some rewrites are more drastic than others, but there are rewrites. It was supposed to rewrite a show called Smallville. Was it early? Yeah, I've heard of that one. That's the that was CW, wasn't it? Yeah, I watched a video the other day where it was like some comic book YouTubers who played a game of like getting his friends to guess what happens in certain CW DC shows, and it was hilarious. Like, one was the it was like, what does Grog say in this one scene? And it was the here to make America Grog again. Or like that thing where like it was like a scene with Martian Manhunter and Miss Martian, and it was like, what did they do in this scene? And the answer was they kiss. And like the two guys who were playing it were like, what? Yes, there's quite a few DC like shows and movies I need to eventually watch. And that's the animated ones. They had a Wonder Woman show. Jeez, Wonder Woman. Yeah, talk about like being a DC fan. Like Wonder Woman fans literally have nothing. They are starving out here. I did hear good things going on with the Absolute Wonder Woman. They're all female icon of yep. Shh, we can't talk about the women. You know, comic books are for boys. We're not allowed to talk about the women unless they're sexy. What do you mean? What has every favorite character? Trinity. I remember when I went to see the Wonder Woman movie, the old like DC universe movie, and I had the funniest experience because like I got to that bit where the thing where she's at the funeral for all the people who died, and she's like the music cuts out as she looks at like Steve's grave or like grave or whatever the thing was that was built in his honor. And like me and my friend there, we were watching the scene in silence. Like everyone in the movie was quiet as the music cut out, and she just stares. And then in the theater next to us, they had the Baywatch movie going on, and like I don't know how loud it was being, but it was loud enough that we could suddenly hear it through the walls, and it kind of just ruined the tone of that scene. You just loud ass like punky beach music. There was a Batman Wonder Woman shipper. I'm still a Wonder Bat shipper. It's my favourite Batman ship. It's funny because I don't really ship him a lot with a lot of the major love interest he ever gets. Like I'm not a big like I do not care for Batman and Catwoman. I'll say that. Like, I don't hate it. It's, like, kind of, like, on the same thing with, like, Barbara and, like, Nightwing, and that, like, I don't really get much from it. And, like, most iterations I see, I'm always cool with, but I never, like, have the deep urge to do anything with them. Justice League, it was so peak for giving us a glimpse of the relationship. Oh, I love it so much. I love that one scene where, like, he's giving up all those excuses as to why they can't date, and he's just like, I have very dangerous, like, villains, you know, if they found out I was dating someone, they'd do nothing but, like, constantly try to go after her to get at me, and then she just breaks a gargoyle, and she's just like, bro, do you know who I am? What are they going to do that I can't? I always like when they pair Jason and Tim together, although it's 50-50 chance you know wash him. Well, she replaced me, or I need to watch out for this kid, because Bruce... Oh yeah, I like, Jason and, Tim's, like, dynamic. I think they've got a very... It's like, I really like, yeah, their dynamic, and, like, Damian and, Dick having their dynamic, that kind of thing. Like, I love all seeing the Bat Bros actually be, like, brothers together. That does remind me of when I was on the DC Wikipedia. I was reading up on the Battle for the Cowl thing because I was trying to remember how that went, and literally one of the paragraphs starts with, so Jason and Tim got into a fight, and Tim beat Jason with a crowbar, and I was like, Tim, look, I get he was probably insane during this point, but that's a little much. Literally Batman giving excuses she wasn't having it. Literally, when they both first meet Batman, even Batman's interested, and I'm like, fellas, you met one night, calm down. That's the thing, is I think the issue is that there is definitely a really good story between Selina and Bruce, and I've definitely seen some that make me like them. But I think the issue is that they were built on such a history of, like, sexy villain gets away by seducing the hero kind of trope. Which again, you can make work, but I think the problem is that she was such like an icon of like being like the, you know, beautiful villainous and thing, that it's like a lot of it still sticks to this day. And it also makes me raise my eyebrows at Bruce. But I've definitely seen things where it's like they do an interesting thing with it. It's like it kind of starts off like that, but then they get like a genuine relationship. Sorry, I love the Demon and Jason dynamic because they're both angry boys. Is that the Crystal Moon? No, it's Patrick. A Bruce pairing I like, never really got a Jack Nocturne, more specific critic vices of her. Selina Kyle could never be my go for hold up, and now we're in Smallville is basically just Gotham. But like Wonder Bats is like my true to dear in my heart. Just like Shallant. Me out here drowning, like dried up in this pit of two prominent DC ships that aren't major. That also, like, this whole thing about Pride Month as well reminds me of when I saw, the way I found out about, I think I sent that image to you, Kenim, but it was, like, the day that I found out about, like, Tim Drake being bi, was, like, I saw an article, and the image they used was the funniest thing I've ever seen, where it was Jason with his new boyfriend, with the boyfriend sitting on his lap, and it was like the bi flag behind them. But then they like got a picture of Steph, like gasping, like her entire face taking up the other half of the image, gasping, and I was just like, this is the funniest way to tell me this character is bi. I found out about Tim because of Fortnite. Everyone finds out through Fortnite. Which I heard that people weren't against, like, people had been craving for Tim to be bi for ages, but I heard the way that the comic handled it wasn't great. It's pretty much true. It's just like how Star Wars fans found out how Palpatine returned through Fortnite. You know, talk about doing your homework to watch something. That's always been like one of the funniest ones. I'm not asking you all get in the damn paddle posts. Watch, like, Ben 10 fans, watch as, like, something happens in the Dynamite comics that can only be answered via Fortnite. That actually reminds me of how, in terms of like LGB characters, that reminds me of how I was looking at Damien's wiki page for something. I was checking his family tree, and I find out that he's got 2 female cousins who are the complete opposites of each other. Because it's like, the oldest one, Alia, she's a trans bisexual girl who is the daughter of Talia's older half-sister. And her name's Featherweight. She's a metahuman. It seems like she's got like super strength, despite the fact she looks like she looks very light. And then the other one was a girl named Mara, who is a complete demon. Like, you put these 2 on the same screen together, and it's like, you're just like, damn, Damien, you got some really interesting cousins here. With, like, Mara's whole thing being that, like, she hates Damien because, like, he took her place at as like the heir or something, and then he, you know, ditched and he took her eye or something, and then he ditched to go join Batman, and she was like, you betrayed everything. Yeah, like, looking at, like, characters' Wikipedia pages for, like, comics is always so funny, because it's like, everyone has, like, a surprise half-sibling, a clone, 50 relationships, kids that no longer exist, or never existed in the first place. It's like when I was watching, I started watching Grey's Anatomy a while back, and like I went onto the Wikipedia page, and literally everyone had like 5 exes, all the women had at least 1 miscarriage. It was ridiculous. In Gotham Knights, Dick has a Bloodhaven mug with a Skyline and play Flag Sky on it. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know if Steph's been confirmed by, but there is this hilarious panel from the comics with Zatanna showing up to, like, Steph and Tim, who are, like, sitting on a car talking or something, and, like, Steph's immediate reaction is just like, wow, you're hot, and then pausing, being like, sorry about that. Nightwing being bi wasn't something I would expect, though. Not that I'm against it, but it's like his whole, like, being such a womanizer. And, like, I get the whole thing is that he's attractive to everyone. But I'm down for it. I don't know if it's canon or not, but Jason's always given me, like, bi energy as well. Maybe everyone in the Bat family's just bi. That'd be hilarious. I had to Google who that was, Justin. I should have known. I know Jason did his Starfire once in the Outlaws comment when she lost her memories. It was, yeah, that was the New 52 thing. It was a whole, like, she was they were doing the whole, like, oh, she's a sex goddess who's in control of her own body, but it's very clear it was the writer's poorly disguised fetish, situation. Because she slept with Jason and Roy, was the whole implication. Apparently Obi-Wan is also bi. I've just seen a few people headcanon Jason is ace. Really? Talking about different characters for Pokemon, I need to read more on Dendel Serve. She's a lesbian, apparently she's a badass in the comments. Yes. I mean, I am glad that we've very much reached a point where DC and like Marvel and stuff are very open with the whole like just having a lot of like LGBT characters and such. Like, it's definitely, they've still got some pretty much like some hits and misses, but you know, progression. Can always use progression. They tried to have Starfire, both who Jason fanboys came out of the comics saying shipping Jason and Roy in. I mean, the Coria one was very complicated because of the whole, like, not only did she lose her memories, and Jason knew this, that, like, yeah, like, in this continuity, like, her and Dick were a thing, so sleeping with Jason is a very eye-raising... Like, if this was, like, sure, if this was, like, a timeline where, like, they never hooked up, like, her and, Dick were never a thing, like, sure, I probably wouldn't care. But it's the fact that they were being very weird and sus about it. I heard they're making Absolute Universe kind of like story with Marvel Spider-Man currently. Let's hope they can do something with it other than making Peter suffer 24/7, but we all know how that goes. Anyway, Jason Yep. Because, like, I'm quite lenient on, like, you know, continuities and comic book stuff doing different things and changing things, because, like, comics, like, have never been consistent. Like, they stopped caring a long time ago. Which is why, like, I'm never, like, too worried whenever an adaptation does something, unless it's very weird and very gross. But I don't get as annoyed as diehard comic book fans. But there is this sort of, like, yeah, like, everything's changed at some point in the comics. Somehow Paul has returned. Nothing will ever be funnier when I saw that one thing of, like, MJ and him breaking up or something because of, like, the symbiote, and how, like, the bit that got me was, like, how, like, she was phrasing it as if, like, Paul didn't want to be in a threesome with the symbiote. It was the funniest comic to read I've ever seen. I can't believe it's so true. It's, like, canon. Listen, this episode I heard we got experiments. Can you not only piss off the Marvel fans, but you also piss off Ben 10 fans? You basically move in which is just random superpowers. Oh yeah, the jackpot thing. It's the worst thing the Marvel could have. Yeah, it's, to be fair, it's less to do with Paul and more like what he represents, because he's part of this whole cycle that's been never ending since One More Day. Like, One More Day really did just, oh god, what it's done to, like, Spider-Man and Marvel as a whole. It's a never-ending joke. Actually, I'm curious, how many people here actually know what One More Day is? Because it always surprised me when someone doesn't know what I'm talking about. It's kind of stupid that they made it very Jane, but I do love the design for it though. Yeah, Mary Jane's one of those cases where, like, I don't read comics, but I think I can take a guess as to what this is. Okay, so for those who don't know, the reason why Spider-Man's comics have been in such a rut for ages now is that a while ago, they put out this comic where, this was, like, during a time where, like, Peter was married to MJ, his identity was known to the public because of Civil War, I believe. The whole thing was that this comic had a whole thing where Kingpin shot Aunt May. And she was dying, but she was like, what, 70, 80 years old or something? Like, I'm not saying that you should just let her die in pain sort of thing. But it was definitely one of those things where everyone, all the other characters to Peter were like, look, you know, there's nothing we can do. The bullet, like, completely shattered her. She's going to die. But, like, and even Aunt May was like, I've lived a good life. But Peter cannot let that go. He's like, I cannot let my aunt die, you know, stages of grief. So he goes around asking for help. He goes to everyone he knows. He goes to Strange, and Doctor Strange's excuse is he's just like, oh, magic can only fix magic wounds, which is bullshit. There's like pages upon pages which clarify that's not the case. He goes to Tony, and Tony's initially like, nah, screw you, Peter, I'm, like, not gonna help, like, I don't give a shit if your aunt dies because I'm mad at you over something that happened in Civil War. And then, like, Jarvis, his butler, whatever, was just like, sir, what the hell? And so he was like, okay, no, fine, I'll help. And then he was like, oh, wait, no, I can't, none of my tech can save Aunt May. I think he even goes to, like, the Fantastic Four, they can't do anything. He goes to Doctor Doom, he can't do anything. Like, no one can save this woman from a bullet. And then, so Peter's just like, she's gonna die no matter what I do, and everyone's like, you just need to accept it, Peter. And then the goddamn devil shows up, and he's just like, Spider-Man, I can save your aunt. You have to sell me your marriage, and that will cost you your future daughter. And, Peter ends up agreeing, and MJ also agrees, because, like, she has that weird line where she's just like, if you can't have kids, what's the point of being married? Yeah, Mephisto, the devil. Yeah, like, MJ has that weird line where she's just like, what's the point of being married if you can't have kids? Because, you know, a man wrote that. Or a woman, I don't know. It's been a long time. So Peter does it. And he loses his marriage and everything about that. So, you know. But he gets his aunt back. And then, so yeah, it basically kind of tried to, in-universe, reboot Peter back to being, like, this poor, lonely, crime-fighting dude who has, like, $5 to his name, sort of thing. Because Marvel was like, that's the only way fans can relate to him. Which says a lot. And then, like, they've been trying to fix it for years now, but also not. Like, that's why they had that one, like, there was that... There was, like, that comic line with what happened to Gwen Stacy when they tried to ruin her image, and then it just came off as, like, so awful. I've heard of it, but the only thing I know is that Peter, after the save his arm to return his life, basically, yeah. So that's, like, why him and MJ went together, and then, like... Yeah! So the whole thing was that then they started hinting that MJ and Peter were potentially going to get back together. And then Marvel was like, no, we're gonna make Paul, who is this character that came out of nowhere, who, like, is now, like, MJ's, like, new boyfriend, partner, husband. They have, like, kids together or something. And then, like, it turns out those kids aren't real, because, like, I remember, like, the comic came out where, like, the kids disappeared from reality, and, like, everyone on Twitter was cheering. It was the funniest thing. Like, how badly do you have to make the writing that people are cheering for 2 children to die? I hope Paul isn't a brand new dude. I want them to, just because it would be the funniest shit ever. There's a fan comic where May gets flashes of what Peter did to save her, and eventually he and MJ also find out the truth and like, screw it, we need to get our daughter back. So people assembles like strangers to go fight. This is a soul, which makes it now turn into a demon Spider-Woman. Yeah, let's step away for a minute. We're talking about Spider-Man, also we're talking about children dying. Oh, we're talking about Spider-Man One More Day. Like, yeah, say what you will about being, like, Robin fans and DC fans, nothing comes close to what, like, Spider-Man fans have to deal with. Because the editorial hates Peter. Yeah, I remember me and my brother did do a sort of, like, explaining, the bad plot line via Ben 10, where it was like, yeah, like, Kai and Ben, and, like, Ben, like, Grandpa Max gets shot. So Ben goes around asking for people for help. He goes to, like, Vidona, who's just like, sorry, mana can't fix, so, yeah, spells and mana can't fix a bullet hole. He goes to Azimuth, who at first is, like, willing to let Max die because he's angry with Ben over something. And then it's like, what, like, Dagon shows up and he's just like, ah, yes, I am the only person who can heal Grandpa Max, but in exchange you must, like, give me Kenny's soul. And, like, Kai agrees because she's just like, well, if we can't have Kenny, what's the point in getting married? Like, that's just how it sounds. This is reminding me of, like, on the Ink Tank server, where I described bad plot lines from things I've watched via Ben 10. To really put it into perspective for some people. Like, I've still got the screenshots. I did... What was it? Here it is. So the first one I did was I explained the ending of Tales of Arcadia through Ben 10. I said it would be if Ben and the gang fought Maltruant during the Time War, half the cast died, and then Ben decides to go back in time, and instead of taking on the Watch and all the trouble that comes with it again, he just gives it to Gwen. And doesn't tell her anything. Then I described the How to Train Your Dragon third movie's ending, and it's it'd be like the whole thing of Ben trying to be the bridge between worlds, trying to connect humans and aliens. And after much success, some random villain gets on his nerves enough that he decides that humans and aliens should be separated, in hopes they can learn to not be bad towards each other somehow. Like, how can you learn if you don't see the other group? And also I mentioned how, like, in the second short movie, the humans forget about dragons, and I'm like, in this case, like, humans also stop believing in aliens really quickly. Oh, here we go. I did 2 separate ones for Tangled the series. For old timers from my streams, you'll get a hoot out of this one. I said, to describe Tangled the series, I said, it would be like if Grandpa Max was super abusive to Ben and random people, but the show told you it was fine because he was doing it out of love. Gwen turns evil at one point because she's jealous of Ben over something he did as a baby, tries murdering people, listening to a random villain who tells her to murder Ben just because, and then changes her act a second before the final act and cries about how she was just a little mad and upset because people weren't paying her attention. And Ben learns that it's okay to be shitty to people and to never take responsibility when you hurt people, and you should send 14-year-olds to prison to die or something. And then I did a whole section explaining the Varian arc through Ben 10. So if no one's seen Tangled the series, you'll get a hoot out of this, because what I'm saying is like very, very much canon to what happens in the show. It'd be like Jimmy coming to Ben for help about his dad dying or something, and Ben at the time couldn't, so he didn't go and help him that day, and then he forgets about Jimmy for like 3 months. And then when he finds out the plumbers were harassing Jimmy this whole time, Ben makes it about himself and how he feels. Jimmy reaches out to try and find a solution, kind of lying to Ben, but also not wrong, and that what he was proposing would save his dad and other people. But Ben decides he's in the wrong because he's afraid to hurt the plumber's feelings. Jimmy loses, becomes a villain, does some pretty nasty stuff, but he gets stopped in the end. Ben has to leave for a bit, so he asks the plumbers to get Jimmy help, and then the second he's out the door, they room Jimmy with Vilgax. Vilgax then convinces this young child that they're friends, overthrows the plumbers with Jimmy's help, and when Ben gets back and learns about this, his first response is to be hostile to Jimmy, not so much Vilgax. Then he makes the excuse for not helping Jimmy initially. Jimmy changes though when things go too far with Vilgax, has a heart-to-heart with Ben, but it's actually about how much Ben misses Gwen because she turned evil. And then the only episode they have later focused on what happened to Jimmy is when the group has to face their deepest, darkest fears, such as when Jimmy nearly killed his dad and society hated him. Ben tries to relate to him by saying his greatest fear isn't the idea that Gwen is going to kill a shit ton of people, but it's that Gwen will not be his friend anymore. That's his deepest, darkest fear. And that's the Varian arc, guys. What poor Jimmy. The most Jimmy would do is take an IV drink. Can't get a single. We saw this as a negative Ben's universe. That's Tangled the series, guys. Then I think I did one for like MLP where it was like the jump between G4 to G5, where I described it as like, oh, Ben unites the galaxy, and like while there's still some like, you know, with yes, Yugi? Yeah, I described it as it was like Ben like united people, he's brought back like teamwork and all that. He's united the galaxy and dealt with most of the racism, and it's all cool. And then you cut to like the next series, which takes place like 200 years later, and suddenly everyone's racist again, and no one remembers why. See, I love how you describe it. Don't bother watching the show that you get in front of a seat with the chaos. Yeah, I could, like, that'd be a really fun game of, like, just describing to you certain episodes of Tangled the series and, like, seeing how, getting you guys to guess what happens. Play like one of those like Jeopardy games. I get like a host a bunch of people and be like, tell me, what do you think happens in this plot? I had to wait for Ben to die to continue it. Well, yeah, that's the thing with MLP, is that it just comes across as, like, the entirety of the pony species are just hilariously racist. And, like, they were waiting for the day to do it again. I mean, I think that would make for a fun video of just me getting some friends or something and doing like a whole like me getting them to like hear about these bad plot lines from things I've watched and seeing if they can guess what happens or not. It's just that One Piece meme or something where it's like, this guy has this thing, I better sit my ass down. Like, I remember the other day I was talking about, Secret Saturdays, and I was talking about how, like, I love the series, but even it's not free of having some bad moments. Like, my least favorite episode, like, there is one episode I genuinely consider bad because of the main topic of it. Like, what's the bin? I should describe this, the Secret Saturdays are going to render. I should describe this plot line from the Secret Saturdays through Ben 10 characters. Okay, so it'd be like, it'd be like, Ben, when he's like 10, he's hanging out with Kai, and they're doing some training and stuff, and like, take this as a sort of like Kai and Ben have never like once flirted with each other. They're just 10-year-old kids that are hanging out. And for some reason, every adult in the vicinity is like, those two are gonna kiss. And I'm like, those are 11-year-olds. Calm the phone. And then, the families, the Tennysons, are on a mission, and like Kai joins them. And, it involves this creature that is supposed to give you good luck. Like, it's an alien that's supposed to give you good luck. Except, this alien, when Ben's around this alien, he just has bad luck for some reason. So he tries to tell his family. He's like, hey, I think this, the powers are reacting weirdly because of the watch or something. I'm just having extreme bad luck. And everyone takes this as, oh, Ben, it's just hormones. You like Kai, so you're acting like a fool because of that. And, like, you know, causing mayhem and getting tripped. Including one scene where Penn has to use a rope to, like, swing across. Like, everyone's using a rope to swing across a hole, like a chasm. And it gets to Ben to use the rope, and the rope snaps. And Ben falls, almost like hitting the ground at like 50 feet. But he managed to catch himself, and he's at the bottom of the ravine. So Grandpa Max is like, okay, everyone go on ahead, I'll go get Ben. He reaches the bottom, and the thing he says to Ben is, you know, when I was your age, I made a fool of myself in front of girls too. Implying the rope snapped because of Ben's hormones. Yeah. And like, throughout this episode, Kai, like, keeps acting like Ben is trying to impress her by being competitive and acting like she has not been competitive the entire episode as well. And then at the end, when it's proven that Ben, you know, it wasn't hormones that were causing him to, like, you know, trip and fall on his own shoes. and, like, you know, alert the guards every second by accident. It was the tiger. Sorry, it was the alien that was giving him the bad luck. But even then, people are still like, you still clearly like this girl, because, you know, boy and girl, same room. They must love each other. And that's the Secret Saturdays episode. That one was, it's the only one I consider genuinely bad, and it's one of the reasons why I do not ship Zach and Waddy. I really don't like that relationship, which bamboozles me, because, like, this is the show that has Doc and Drew in it. Like, I don't understand how they can't write a good romance, like, love interest thing with Zach and Waddy. Would have done that in a flashback episode. Yep. I mean, it's like, I feel bad because it's like, I don't hate Waddy, but I think she's one of the weakest characters from the show, because she's definitely got that sort of early 2000s quirky girl sort of energy, but, like, not in a fun quirky girl way. More in, like, I'm not like other girls, and also, like, I'm better than the boys, and I'm gonna do stuff that's very questionable. It's just a shame, because the last episode she got to make a proper appearance in, I actually quite liked her in, because she got to be a character. But even then, people were still breathing down Zach's neck, being like, you like the girl? Yeah, Generator Rex had a couple of pretty bad episodes. Like, I remember talking about it on the Discord server, but it was like, I think I said that my least favorites were Rock My World and Guy vs. Guy. Rock My World was like the second to last episode of the entire series before the final. And it was just kind of really oddly placed, and, like, nothing, you didn't really get anything out of it, which I did find out was because it was supposed to air earlier in the series, but production was a complete nightmare. Whereas Guy versus Guy does one of those, it does one of those plot lines where they try to do the whole, like, it's just a prank, Bo, but, like, the genuine prank is just horrible. Like, for context, this episode's whole thing is that, this is in season 3, by the way, so when, like, Rex is supposed to be on the run and, you know, keeping the down low. But the whole thing is that him and Noah, are having a prank war, and Noah keeps successfully getting Rex. So Rex is like, okay, I'm going to do something to get back at him, and his plan was something, it was like he was gonna, wait until Noah was on a date with his girlfriend, and he was going to do he found some, like, these pieces of tech from, he grabbed some stuff from Holiday's lab, and he was going to use this stuff to scare Noah and show him getting scared on a big, like, projection billboard in town. Except Holiday called him, being like, hey, do you know where this, like, one chemical, barrel we had with, like, you know, this chemical that could wipe out an entire city? It went missing from my lab, and Rex realizes that they have the container, and so he starts freaking out. He's like, oh shit, I don't want to end up accidentally killing an entire town, and, like, he's trying to figure out how to not set it off or something. So he eventually calls Noah for help, and he's like, Noah, look, I'll be frank with you. I was trying to prank you, but I've accidentally grabbed something that could literally kill, like, the entire town's worth of people, including myself and Bobo. And so Noah is like, okay, we'll figure out what to do. Except what Noah ends up doing is he calls Holiday to tell Holiday that it was Rex who stole the stuff. And instead of Holiday immediately calling Rex to be like, hey, this is what you have to do, and also, like, don't do this again, young man, they decide to pull a prank on Rex, where Noah and Holiday convince Rex that the bomb, like the nuke bomb chemical thing he grabbed, is gonna go off. And like Holiday, and when Rex can't do anything else, like he calls Holiday, he's like, well, what do I do? A bunch of people didn't die. I'm gonna die. Holiday's just like, I guess just kiss your sorry butts goodbye, essentially. And, you know, Rex and Bobo start hugging each other, start freaking out. And then it turned out that Holiday disarmed the thing ages ago, but made it look like it was gonna go off. And Noah filmed the whole thing to show on a projection screen to show the entire town. And Holiday was just like, that's what you get from stealing my lab, you little gremlin. And I'm like, that is a horrible prank to pull on someone. Making them believe that they are about to kill an entire town's worth of people and themselves and their friend. Like, that's like psychological damage. Especially for when you're doing this to a kid who, you know, has had like, you know, 2.5 seasons worth of desperately not being seen as a monster that harms people. I was like, that is such a dick move. Yeah, Rex should not have been stealing from Holiday's lab, but like, this isn't a way to punish him. That is a horrible sense. Because like, in that moment, his brain didn't know that Holiday was lying. He genuinely believed that he was going to get himself and so many people killed. I remember being annoyed by this one loser Rex and Noah protecting. Oh, the guy who had the Evo ability to like turn off nanites. I remember that one. I'm Kid Minty preparing to die and then pulling that it's a prank, bro. I know, it's horrible. I was completely in shock. It was funny, I could see Ben Eco plan actually working. He just got the wrong duplication messed up. I was like, what? Yeah, it's a messed up episode. I really don't like it. Like, Rock My World has, like, really bad, like, placement and, like, is boring, but, like, that's genuinely just, like, a holy shit. Sort of, like, why would you do this? The one where to spend Julie match. Oh yeah, that horrible episode. I actually did a rewrite of that episode, like, specifically. Like, I have the Ben 10 rewrite, but that was an episode I've actually sat down and rewritten myself. Just because I hated it so much, and I had a fun idea for it. So does bad, it makes me laugh every time. If he had just got arrogant, Ben would on his plan to yes. But unfortunately I don't really want to encourage that behaviour. Within my rewrite of that episode, Duped, I had it that so I played into it being that this is supposed to be like when Ben is like very overwhelmed with trying to be in every place at once. Like, it's a genuine problem. And he means well, but like he really can't keep up with everything, especially since he's being stubborn about it and not being open about it to his friends about his issues. So in this episode, in the rewrite, I had it that Ben went to go fight Dr. Animo. And Dr. Animo hit him with a ray, like a new machine he built, like weapon he built. And instead of doing what it's supposed to Ben, the Omnitrix ends up like taking the hit and glitching out as he's Echo. And Ben does still split, except he splits into 10 versions of himself, and it's him in 10 different alien forms. And the 10 I selected were... The 10 aliens he split into were Big Chill, Wrath, Accelerate, Ghost Freak, Ripjaws, Goop, Brainstorm, Upchuck, Upgrade, and Nanomech. That happens, and like I play into the idea that like while all the forms are clearly Ben, they all have some kind of instinctual effect to him and his personality. Like he's still clearly Ben, but like with his sort of filter on. So he's like, yeah, him and his clones are just like, oh shit, this isn't good. But then they get the idea to, because like Animo gets away and they'll need him to fix him. They don't want to tell anyone what's going on, so they get the idea that Ben can finally be in 10 places at once, technically. While they, so that they can sort of do all what they need to do before, you know, fixing themselves and everything will be right as rain. Except as obviously that's not what's going to happen. So they end up splitting into different groups. It's Big Chill goes to Julie's game. Wrath goes to join Kevin to go deal with the Forever Knights. Accelerate gets to run around the entirety of the town dealing with small petty crime. Ghost Freak vanishes. He completely just ditches immediately. So they have to send Nanomech to go find him. Ripjaws goes to hang out with his parents, because he's been wanting to hang out with them. And initially they're gardening, but then because of what Ripjaws is, they decide to go have a beach day. Goop goes to a charity event that Ben wanted to go to represent, but couldn't at the time. Brainstorm gets on a show with Will Harang so that Ben can finally, you know, give him what's on public TV. Upchuck is in charge of finding Animo. And Upgrade is to meet up with Azimuth because he's coming up to visit the plumbers for something, and Ben really wanted to see him because he doesn't really come to Earth that often at that point. And of course, it goes well at first, but then everything kind of falls apart. What was it? Azimuth immediately calls out Upgrade. He's just like, Ben, you've got that voice on, what did you do? And so Upgrade comes clean. He's just like, yeah, there's 10 of me running around, I'm sorry. We're trying to fix it. So Azimuth's just like, right, let's go find them all. They go to meet up with Big Chill, who that was the issue there, was that like he was very much supporting Julie and Julie was very happy, but of course since Ben like is in the public crowd and in alien form, people were more invested in that than Julie's game. And also, like, at the end when Julie won and Ben, you know, picked her up and span her around being like, you did it! The crowd gets involved and Big Chill kind of snaps a little. But then Upgrade finds them and he's like, Ben has to admit to Ben and to Julie and Gwen what he did. Ripjaws is chilling at the beach with the parents until Accelerate comes in to deal with a little bit of a crime that was happening nearby, and Sandra and Carl are just like, honey, what's going on? And so, like, when the group find those two, it's in the middle of Sandra giving Accelerate and Ripjaws a talking to about not lying and all that. So I just love the mental image of Accelerate and the big ass fish sitting there as their mum's yelling at them. Then they find Nanomech, who is just like, I can't find Ghost Freak, guys. You gave me the worst task as being the tiniest member. and then they Wrath, who was in the middle of helping Kevin interrogate the Forever Knights, their situation gets crashed by Upchuck chasing Animo. So that's when Kevin figures it out. He's like, Ben, why is there two of you? And eventually all of them except for Ghost Freak and the rest of all of them minus Ghost Freak meet up to talk. And they're just like, okay, so we need to find Ghost Freak, he's the last one. But then a fight ends up breaking out between... It starts with actually Raph and Big Chill. Because, like, the whole thing is here... is that... I'm here now, what have I missed? I'm talking about my rewrite of the episode Duped. Yeah, so they've got all the Bens together minus Ghost Freak. However, a fight breaks out between them because... Ben's not in the best state of mind, both because he's extremely stressed out, he has been for a while, but also because there's a reason why, you know, Echo and Ditto can duplicate. They're made for it. But because Ben is a bunch of aliens that aren't designed for it, he's a lot more scattered. A lot of his personal feelings come to light as his personality start arguing with each other. And a fight breaks out because Wrath is yelling specifically at Big Chill at the end. And Big Chill's the most reasonable version of Ben within that group. But Big Chill ends up being the one who snaps and hits Wrath first. And it leads to a fight between all 9 Bens, like, attacking each other, venting a lot of inner frustrations as his friends and family are watching this, being like, oh shit, this is a deeper problem, crap. They fight for a bit... until Julie steps in and is just like, calm down, being like, what the hell is this? Like, please, this is clearly a matter we need to talk about after this. All the Bens feel incredibly guilty because they're just like, we weren't supposed to show that to you guys. And also, yeah, getting into a fight was not a great idea. So they decide to all kind of split up to go find, Ghost Freak. And it's Julie who ends up finding Ghost Freak, who's at the pier, the place where they first had their date. He's playing, like, one of the carnival games, which is also a funny mental image. She sits down and talks with Ghost Freak, who, he's a very complicated alien for Ben. It's not Saskia, like, Saskia didn't possess him in Flow. It's just more that Ben has very complicated feelings with that form, and what that form does to him instinctively is complicated for him. So he, as Ghost Freak, he went to the pier because he was like, it keeps me happy, it keeps me calm. But they talk. He's a lot more honest to Julie about how he's been feeling lately. So she convinced him to come. They reunite all the Bens. They give Ben, like, a day to recuperate because, like, having, like, yourself split into 10 forms that aren't meant to be split, you know, does things to your brain. And then the next day, you know, Ben sits down with, like, you know, Gwen and, Kevin and Julie and, like, his family and stuff, and they all talk about it, and Ben's just like, yeah, no, I've been dealing with some shit. I didn't handle it well, and, like, the 10 forms are like, that's not what I'm like 24/7. Like, I'm not on the brink of completely snapping. It was just a pretty bad circumstance. But I could use some help and admit that, like, I can't be in all places at once. And so, it ends with, like, Kevin, like, everyone being like, okay, we're here for you, Ben, and then, like, Gwen and Kevin are like, you know what, you and Julie should go and have a date night. We will handle any situation, so you don't have to be called upon. That's right, keep a smiling face the entire time. This journey sounds like a good episode. Thank you. I have, like, some dialogue written for it as well. Like, writing the 10 Bens was genuinely really fun to do. Like, what was it that Raph said that pushed him? Yeah, so Raph, it's like when they've got them all together, Raph says, like Azimuth tries to deflect the fight, but Raph, you know, it's Raph, he's just like, let me tell you something, Azimuth the First Thinker, you all have caused us some serious problems today and we don't like it. Azimuth tries to, like, you know, get him to calm down and listen to reason, but he says, oh, so we're idiots for just wanting to do the right thing. You people always mope and complain when I gotta go deal with saving the world. Big Chill gets involved and he says, that's enough, Raph. Upgrade says, we don't talk to Azimuth that way. Raph grumples at Big Chill. He's like, oh, don't you start acting all high and mighty. You're just as bad as the rest of us. He points at Upgrade. And you, Zip It, you dragged everyone into this because you're bad at lying. He looks back at Big Chill. Who put you in charge anyway? Big Chill narrows his eyes and says, because I'm the most sensible out of all of us. And Raph responds with, oh really? Are you really? Let me tell you something, you're just as messed up as all of us. You act like you're better than all of us, but you're the one who went and had 14 children. Big Chill gets angry at that, says, don't you dare bring them into this. You never help, you're always so loud, destructive, and scaring everyone. You think that's fun to deal with afterwards? Raph says, I get the job done at least, while you sit there and make ice puns all day. Big Chill says, it's called having a sense of humour. Raph responds with, it's called being lazy, which is what you are. And like everyone's looking between the Bens being like, oh god, this is uncomfortable. And Raph continues with, oh, we're sorting this out alright, because this ditzy little moth needs to understand that we're all one and the same, which means we're just one big screw up. And then Big Chill ends up responding by physically reacting and slamming Raph with his wing, and that causes the whole fight to happen. My dog came into the room. damn, low blow. Oh yeah, what some of the Bens say to each other gets pretty nasty. Yes, dog, I know. My dog came into the room and now he wants pets. You kicked my door open. And that's just all the turners have been feeling since ever since giving a secret reveal. Yeah, because I write it that each of the Ben forms, again, they're all still Ben, but like the way that these species behave does affect him to some degree. Like Big Chill is a lot more calmer, but he does have a sort of like protective, hissy side to him if you push him. We love dogs. Yep. You want to say anything? You gonna say anything, boo-boo? No, you just want pets. Yeah, because, yeah, those two start fighting. Upgrade and Brainstorm start fighting, because Upgrade was just like, I'm sick of your know-it-all attitude, Brainstorm. And Brainstorm, like, shocked him a little bit as a joke, and then that ended up starting a fight. Uptruck tried to stop the fight. No, Goop tried to stop the fight by latching onto Raph and being like, you need to calm down, man. Uptruck tried to shoot at Raph to calm him down, but ended up hitting Goop instead, and Goop was just like, you know what, I'm gonna let go of the angry tiger. Yeah, and then like all the rest started piling in on this fight. Boy, deep fried the grip. The dog's name is Titus, he's a him. But yeah, like, I did a full rewrite of that episode, and, like, me and my friend wrote out, like, the dialogue and such. And, yeah, no, yeah, Ben gets pretty nasty with himself. Because, like, I was trying to emphasize the idea that it's, like, he's currently stressed out. His aliens are all very different to each other. So their personalities are not playing off of each other correctly. And also, yeah, like, he's not supposed to be able to split into different, like, duplications of himself in these alien forms. Their minds are just not built for it. And then what was it that, yeah, Julie and him talked later? Yeah, Julie is at the pier and she looks at the ring toss stool and sees a very familiar figure, Ghost Freak. He sits on a stool, his tail curled around it, quietly tossing rings in utter silence as he's been sitting there for hours. The owner of the stool looks confused and he stepped away when Ghost Freak first came. He gives Julie a what the hell look. Yeah, because the idea was that Ghost Freak was like a not very well-known public alien within Ben's stuff. So a lot of people didn't know what the hell this was. When Julie approaches, she's like, what are you doing here? He just responds with ring tossing. The others are looking for you. It would be good, you know, if you went back to them. Ghost Freak says, did I give them a fright? He just nods and says, I know I should have come back a while ago. I was just dealing with some urges. His eye shifts around as she asks if he's okay. Just not the easiest form to deal with still. And all the yelling was making things hard to process. The stress of today was already enough, so I came here. He asked, did they start fighting? As if he's not surprised. He asks, did you win your game? And she's like, oh, yeah, I did. And he's like, good, that's good. I'm sorry we caused such a mess for you. And she's like, don't worry about it. And he's just like, it is important to you, though. So it's important to me. It's why I came here. The pair makes me happy. My boy needs therapy. Well, Ghost Freak wasn't there for the fight. That whole thing, that's the whole thing, is that Ghost Freak was the one who was missing. He was avoiding everything. Though Raph they did do some damage to each other. Like, I know I wrote somewhere that, like, Raph cut, the side of Big Chill's face. That's how bad the fight got. There was some physical harm. Do you ever rewrite on what would happen if Albedo didn't get stuck as Ben, but a different member of the Alien Force trio? I've definitely, yeah, I've written, stories. Like, I have, like, I know in the Gwen 10 universe that does happen to him. He gets stuck as Gwen. In my Julie 10 AU, that same thing happens to him there. Seriously, this is peak rewriting here. Could have been wrong, but we never actually saw Ben go to therapy during the original time. I mean, most shows don't do, like, a whole they go to therapy. It's either implied or never implied, which is why, like, I drew a therapist for the plumbers. This character, hang on. This lady here. She's a plumber for the therapist. Like, she's a therapist for the plumber for the therapist. In her story, I've mentioned that, like, she helps out the next-gen children as a therapist, but she's, her species lived for a while, so she's actually also been the therapist to, like, Ben and stuff before. No, Ben would get told to go to therapy. Well, yeah, that's the thing, is Ben's very stubborn about it at first, but he does eventually go to it. Gets his life together. Explore how when he's older, that's how cannibal is an endangered species, yeah. And then Kevin has got on 62 being Americans. Yeah, Albedo is one that I've done a lot of rewrite stuff on. In fact, speaking of therapy, like, his whole thing is like, I've really amplified the idea that he's in this situation because of himself. It's kind of supposed to be like a reflection of Ben, and that like Ben has a support, he has like, you know, good friends, and like even he can admit, you know, to like laugh at himself kind of thing, and eventually gets therapy and stuff. Albedo's supposed to be a reflection of like them both having an ego, but one not keeping theirs in check. Because Albedo just can't admit defeat. Vampires, especially since the application of being revived, not good for the other native species. Well, actually, I mean, in my next gen, I made a Vladat person, this girl, Lady Kama. She was the second Vlad. She was when Zaskia came back in the next gen series, he decided to revive another Vladat. This time someone younger to easily manipulate, except turns out when she was revived, she was just like, you know, immediately come out screaming, being like, ah! So she ran off. And she got found by Jay and Etherealist. And Kama's whole deal is supposed to be the fact that, like, what the Vladats did was horrendous, but the concept of just wiping out an entire species is a lot more messed up. Because Kama's whole thing is that she was just a kid. Like, she definitely has, like, moments of where she said something that's very clearly racist, but it's supposed to be more painted as the fact that she's clearly parroting what adults told her in her life, and she doesn't fully believe it. And, like, she gets taken care of by, like, Victor and the old, like, Zaskia gang. And it's this sort of, like, unfortunate reality that they have to kind of accept, in that what happened was completely messy. There was no good outcome. And, like, even people like, Kama were just victims as well, even if she was a Vladat. And, like, she even remembers how she died as well. Like, it's a whole thing. Becomes an avatar into her Vladat nation to try to bring it back. Well, there is no bringing it back. It's like between her uncle, because she's the niece of the Lord Transel or whatever, like a distant niece. Between those two and Ben's watch, there is no bringing them back. Not unless they're willing to just play God and revive a whole species with Zaskia's machine, which is, you know, not something that you really should ethically do. After you ever was going to turn something around and prove himself, unfortunately that did not happen. Yeah, now, in my rewrite, Albedo sticks to his issues for a very long time. Like, his whole thing is he's... After Omniverse is in the rewrite, after the Omniverse, Albedo disappears for years, and he comes back very late into the next gen series because of his daughter, the Ivory. And by then he's like, he's been on the run for so long that now he's just kind of tired. Yeah. But that's like, I mean, that's the thing with like a lot of my Ben 10 rewrite, and the next gen especially, is I like talking about like sort of taking this universe and being a lot more realistic about it, and like, how would this really go about, you know? Like, it's why I draw so many characters. It's like how I showed off the plumber therapist, but I also have like a doctor, a lawyer, a detective, to like really make the plumbers feel like this, like, you know, cop organization sort of thing that try to take their job seriously. It's like how I have Dupe be like a sort of insight to like Ben's psyche, and like a real sort of real take on the whole like splitting yourself up is actually kind of very difficult to deal with, because it's like a lot of internal stuff's going to come out. They have a doctor in Yeah, those are the medics. They've got on-field medics, which I've used those uniforms and revamped them. So these are the medical plumber uniforms. But I mean doctor in the sense of, like, a surgeon. Which is who this lady is, Izzy. She's a plumber surgeon. But yeah, like, you've got on-site medics. I've got a detective here. A contracted lawyer. These are all teachers. The orange uniform is for teachers. I'm curious, how do you handle the Sapient Ultimates? The episode is... I don't have them do that just because it's very weird. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. And, like, especially since when it comes to the Ultimatrix story, I'm more focused on the idea that the Ultimatrix goes against what the what the Omnitrix is meant to be. And, like, both in terms of, like, what Albedo made to, you know, be a middle finger to Azimuth really shows why he was never going to get the watch, because he doesn't get the point of the Omnitrix. And, like, the whole thing is that while Ben is using the Ultimatrix until he can get a new Omnitrix, he doesn't like it, because, like, it goes against everything he's been trying to preach. He's like, I become the aliens, like, sure, to fight people, but I also do more than that. Whereas the Ultimatrix are designed to just hit as hard as you can. Fleshing them out is such a nice idea. I've got to give you props. I feel like a lot of people should think about this stuff. Well, it's like, I've got an image here that shows off, like, the different branches, like, sort of, like, ranks. So it's like, you've got in training, regular agents, so that's your typical, you know, the white suit with the red dot, the Alpha Squad, you got medics, teachers, and then you got the Magus, Magister, and Magistrata. I decided to make these actual things, and so... yeah, so in training's fairly obvious, in training plumbers, that kind of thing. Agents are just the most common, like, there's different branches within agents, but this is the main symbol for them. Alpha Squads are, you know, your top tier, heavy hitters who are used for the biggest emergencies and problems. Medics are obviously, yeah, on-site. Field medics who can fight, because they're supposed to be on the field sort of thing, but they are designed to be, on the battlefield helping people. Teachers, teachers can come from all sorts of backgrounds, like they can be retired plumber agents, that kind of thing, or they could be people who are getting a second chance. Whereas these three are the political angle and kind of agents as well. So Magus are, what was it? They are representatives of a planet. They will always be a native species member. So in the case of Earth, the representative there would have to be a human. They represent the planet, and all that comes with it. Magisters are the representatives of a solar system. They're in charge of the solar system and all the planets that are within it. Whereas Magistratas are like the top dogs. They're essentially the council that runs the entire plumbers. They basically own sections of the galaxy. They are the representatives of sections of the galaxy that is run by a plumber, that is under plumber protection and order. So Max was a Magister. He basically was the face of our solar system. My plan was to have Phil be the Magus, but then he, you know, did what he did. So he's no longer that, so there was a placement hold there. And then in the next gen, by the time of the next gen series, Rook is the Magister of the solar system. Yeah. Whereas Magus is going to be... I've been thinking of making it Molly, that one background OV female human. because, like, I think it'd be fun to take an existing character and do something there. The Rooters are the Black Ops unit. Like, I'm actually going to make them a proper thing and not just that one squad that tried to kill Ben. Like, it's an actual part of the organization that Ben has to deal with, confront. Cervantes is still a villain, but the Black Ops unit is a necessary part of them. And then detectives, who, you know, obviously do a lot of the whole investigating crimes, doing a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, doing more than just whipping out a gun and shooting people. And then down here is the science division, which is broken up into 4 categories: tech, magic, bio, and celestial. So within my setting, I have it that there's this category system within Ben 10 where it's like species are either representatives of the species as a whole is either primarily tech-based, magic-based, bio-based, or you can get some combos that you can get biotech, aliens, magic, bio, and then on the very rare occasion there is some species that represent all 3 categories. It's very rare though. And celestial is basically a mix of cases when it's all 3, or like high up situations, like maybe celestial sapient matters and things like that. And like with those teachers I was showing off, here it is. And let me just get the info up. So each of these teachers as well, it's not just, oh, they host a class about everything. No. It's like they're all teachers for different things. So this guy, they are the teacher for weapons. This is the teacher for civilian matters. This is the teacher about law, like rules and stuff. This is the teacher who teaches search and rescue missions. This teacher is for flight training. And there's more branches, but these were the primary ones for the next gen kids to talk to. And this teacher is for is the overseer. They basically are like kind of like the principal. Curious, how do you handle if I were to rewrite them? I've got them all. He doesn't care about the species, just wants to see what he can get at transmission. Yeah, he doesn't. Yeah, Albedo's whole thing is he kind of misses the point of the Omnitrix, especially since he watches Ben, you know, fight people with them, and he's like, oh, you know, that's all Azimuth cares about with the watch, obviously. So I'm just going to do that tenfold. When obviously that's not the case. It's just the loudest aspect of Ben. High rank, like the legend here is color code and shape defined. Yeah, like, I mean, that's the thing, is I felt like doing color code and shapes would, like, work, especially since, like, I didn't want the symbols to be complicated, to be more universal. Like, it's like, everyone knows a triangle, everyone knows, like, a square. How much do you think Ben gets paid if he does it all? He gets paid a decent amount, but, like, kind of like what Farewell did as well, it's like, my Ben is also using a lot of that to help fund, the, Omnitrix City. Though he still has a lot, because he also gets merchandise rights. But he uses that for stuff like, you know, paying for, like, his children, you know, his 14, eventually 15 plus children. Funding in Omnitrix City, he's planning to build his, like, you know, the Omnitrix Tower he works in. Especially since, you know, him and Julie and Jay are gonna live there. Gotta make sure it's a good home. I know you didn't have them the rewire, but I still love the idea of Magus of the Moya species. Since the species is referred to as a Martian. Just noticed the new Palmer 6, the orange really does spruce up things. I like the idea that Albedo newcomer tricks. New Omnitrix screws up his junior clothes, the older one does it, he's put more stable. Isn't cheap, and don't forget the 24. Well, yeah, he also spends a whole lot of money on food. And also, like, it's the kind of thing where it's like, I think over time, Ben just becomes, like, so rich, but you kind of forget about it, because he lives a very, like, unkept lifestyle. But it's like, I did do a bunch of sketches to actually show off the different plumber uniforms, or at least the general vibe of them. So this is the in-training uniform. A lot more, yeah, it's very similar to the regular uniform. And then you got the alpha uniform, which is a lot more sharper. And I was also trying to make it look similar to Rook's uniform. Where's the medic one? The medic uniform, which is a lot more rounded. The teacher's uniform, yeah, which is very square. And yeah, like, as you can see, I've been using a bunch of different aliens, because I was also trying to think about the whole, like, how does these uniforms kind of mix and match for different species? The ad has started. I should wait. Oh, whoops. I should wait for that to come back. Really want the plumber thing to be an art challenge on the server. Yeah, it's a fun one. Let me get these ones out. Wait for them to come back. 12, 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you're back! Okay, back onto that. So, this is the Magus uniform. So, like, the Magus, Magister, Magistrata uniforms, I have this angle of them being very sophisticated, very royal-like. So the Magus uniform, the Magister uniform, and the Magistrata uniform, which, like, if you notice, a theme between them is that for the Magus, the little cape ribbon thing starts off at the collar. For Magisters, it moves down to be under the chest, and then for Magistratas, it becomes like a full-on, like, dress sort of, like, thing at the hips. And then you've got the Ruder's uniform. And then a detective's uniform. And for those who don't know what species this is Shalane's species, just redesigned slightly. So I made them a little bit more alien looking. So would Scout be a Magister by Anna's default? He's only just become a No, he's not. He's still an agent, because Magisters and Magistravas only become a thing once a planet is actually part of the plumbers the part of the plumbers circle. And since Annar system is still kind of refusing, he's not. He's still just an agent, though he by the time of the Next Gen series he's a Alpha squad member. And then the plan is that eventually he becomes the Magister for his he becomes the Magist for the Laboan homeworld. It's Etherealness who becomes the Ectonorite from the main group. Hang on. She becomes the first Annar system Magister, since she's the one who works very hard to sort of bring them all together in the end. And like, yeah, the Scout, becomes a Magist. Love the Ruby, keeping up with the look at the roots. Yeah, it was basically just the Ruder's uniform, just more detail. And yeah, like, I do a lot of insight to the whole, like, the general stuff that's going on with the Ruders arc. Like, the Ruders arc has got, like, such a massive rewrite. Like, I had to rewrite my rewrite because I came up with better ideas. But the Ruders arc rewrite, like, does a lot of discussion about the Black Ops stuff, and, like, because the whole thing is that Ben doesn't like the idea of it, but he comes to the agreement that, unfortunately, for the time being, you kind of need some unnecessary, necessary evil to some degree. And it's like the kind of thing where it's like they hope someday they don't need them, but for now, it's kind of needed. And, like, in the Next Gen series, there's, like, a few scenes I've written that explore certain aspects of the plumbers. Like, one of the stories I've got with my friend is, it's the Omni Squad meeting, Fike's group. Fike is the son of Arjit, who works under a very, well-known, like, underlord crime boss dude named Cyros. And in the debut thing of them meeting him, the whole thing is that, like, Fike seemingly kind of plays the hero in a very sketchy way to get the plumber's attention. And, like, the Omni Squad are kind of annoyed, and they're like, are we arresting this guy? But their teacher, their mentor, plumber, is like, no. And she has a sit-down talk with them where she's just like, look, here's the thing, is that when you become a plumber, an odd thing you're going to get is that you're going to get a friend within the criminal system. In the sense of, like, there's someone who's very much a criminal. However, there's such a low-ranking kind of criminal that, like, you're not going to arrest them. Instead, you're both kind of essentially going to scratch each other's backs. Which, of course, the kids are not really fond of at first, but they get around to the idea of that eventually. What are you doing, cat? You want a pet? It's my cat. I know, Misty. Good girl. Good old girl. You can't take in Kingpin without taking it. Well, it's less Kingpin and more like a minion of Kingpin, in a sense. But Cyros is a case of, like, it's incredibly hard to take him down because of what his system is. And the fact that, like, he's very careful where he goes. And, like, yeah, what was it? I mentioned the Omni Squad having, like, a tutor, like a mentor sort of thing. So she's not a teacher plumber, but this is her name's Gilda. So a common thing that the plumbers do is when, like, in training, groups are forming their own squads, they'll typically send in, like, an agent or maybe an alpha squad on the occasion. But typically it's an agent who's, like, been in the field for a bit to, like, give them some pointers, and it's typically the ones who give them, like, minor mission things. So Gilda's the one who takes care of the Omni Squad. Her friend here from her squad, Aiko, is he's the one who helps out the Nova Squad. And Bollard here, he kind of helps both squads if, like, they need a break from their mentors. But occasionally an Alpha Squad member helps out. Like, this is the guy that helps out Jay's squad, this Alpha member. I also have a janitor for the plumbers as well, because I like just filling out all the gaps. But it's like, yeah, I mean, a big thing within the rewrite is sort of like actually trying to make the plumbers feel like an actual system, an actual group, and not just these randoms who are like, we have badges and that's it. We have no actual proper lore and function. Is the janitor Ash's character? No, it's this guy here. Dorian, little frog boy. He's friends with these two. But it's like I've got the plumber system pretty fine-tuned. Anyone who knows me knows that I've completely rewritten Legerdemain and how it works and actually put in a system and backstory to it. Do we have any idea how Hobble got to the red rank? According to, I think it was Derek J. White who said it, according to him, it's because he's got really good marksmanship. But like, I mean, that was an issue with, like, the show. Like, it was a thing Omniverse wasn't great at, which is the whole trying to make the plumbers seem like an organization, but also they kept doing stuff like that, which made them seem like a bit of a joke. Apply any of magic. It's hard to apply any of the magic rolls too, and good luck. Well, yeah, Anodyne is not part of the Anodyne and Apotrodyne do not have any plumber jurisdiction. They are very free nations. They don't have it. The Tetraman aren't part of plumber jurisdiction. They do their own thing. Though they are allies of the plumbers. Obviously the incursions are not. Though even like when a species isn't like, you know, a part of it, that doesn't mean that members of the species can't join the plumbers, obviously. The dragon, she got stuck in between human and dragon. Gwen let that be her punishment, even though she has the ability to fix it. That's kind of messed up, though. Like, not fixing someone's physical problems to teach them a lesson, that doesn't really do what you think it's going to do. Be tagged in something to do with him. I know you post this severe size, but my next stream I'll make sure I'm sure updating your area. So much of this stuff is interesting. Oh, you know, like people are free to constantly ask me questions about it, especially since like I need to figure out a better way to actually post this online to some degree. But it's like there's a lot I've done, a lot of, you know, still working on with the whole next gen and the rewrite. So if you want to, you're free to, like, I don't know, write down a whole list of questions to ask me next stream. Because as it is, I've been going for 3 hours and I'm tired now and I need to eat and walk outside and touch grass. Yeah, but anyway, we've made it this far. We've almost finished all the line art. But I'm very happy with how this is looking so far. But yes, thank you all for being here. Make sure to check out the final episode of 5YL. Get your questions ready for next streams. It sounds like next stream is going to be about, you know, the Ben 10 rewrite and next gen series. I will try and finish this. But yeah, love you all. Thank you all for being here and have a wonderful Pride Month, everyone. See you.